Hello and welcome to the delayed Guardian show from last week. Apologies for that straight away. It was my internet, and it genuinely was my internet. I had an engineer out and they went to the pole and one of the wires was damaged, so actually had a valid excuse, which is always nice to hear. But we should all be back up and running now and everything should be smooth. So, this is episode 6 of the Guardian show.
Yes.
Yes, we'll go with episode 6.
1 plus.
One plus the last one. And so I am Dewi, host of the Guardians of Wiltshire YouTube channel. I have with me Ali King, Gavin Watkins, and CJ Miller. Good evening, everyone in the chat. Give us a hi. CJ is. We've had a frantic last half an hour by all accounts.
Not me.
No.
Been waiting.
Yeah, Gethin was chilling. I was.
Jeff has been waiting since last week.
Yeah, he hasn't moved from his seat. No, I was doing the food shop and then had to eat and then had to come here. CJ slightly forgot that we were doing it this week, so it was at the gym.
It wasn't in my calendar because it usually is the other week.
No, we're having a double week, so you'll get another stream next week.
In honesty, like when I messaged you this morning going, "Are we doing it at 8?" It was because I realised yesterday I agreed to play squash at 8, like today, and so I then had to rearrange that for 6:30 and then come back and eat food.
That'd be impressive doing the show and playing squash at the same time.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be impressive. So
it would.
we're gonna try and rattle through the first bit, guys, because we've got lots of tournament talk. We'll do our general what we've done in the last 3 weeks for this point. Then we'll have a time top 5, and then we will crack on with tournament talk because we have 3 tournaments to talk about, if I'm correct. Greyhavens from Preston, which Ali went to, Ardacon, which I went to, and Into the West, which Ali went to. So Gethin and CJ, feel free to fire questions at us about whatever happened.
Or just don't talk for the first half of the episode.
Yeah.
Just take a nap.
Yeah. So, gents, what have we done in the last 3 weeks?
I went to some tournaments.
Bar tournaments.
I can't remember. Like in the last episode, had I actually finished doing my outriders?
You're in the process of, I think.
Yeah.
If not, as a refresher, there's a couple here that people can look at and then go.
Surprised they're not in your sponsored box.
So they're converted and painted and based. Cool.
Nice.
Moving on. Who's
Moving
next?
So I've played one game on Tabletop Simulator
Excellent.
against Josh Dewi.
Did you win?
No, it was a draw.
Oh God.
So it was It was
Just check it was a draw
Guard.
because you played a game, not because you just sat up and then decided not to.
Yeah.
Theoden's Guard against Canned Chariots on the Capture the Flag like mission, whatever that's called.
Retrieval.
I call it capture the
Retrieval.
flag.
Retrieval.
Was it Phaedred and some riders went down one flank, took his prize and ran off the board. Candish King on Chariot and some friends ran down the other flank, stole my prize, ran off the board. That was the game.
Did you meet at any point? Or
Oh yeah, we had stuff in the middle. But...
Seems like all offense, no defense.
Mhm.
Excellent.
But yeah, and then
Did you take Helmingas by any chance?
Of course. I have applied a single layer of paint to the skin of some models.
Excellent.
And
just to
then,
check plastic ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Not just like 4 ladies.
Well, no, resin.
It's
not
because you
4
specifically said
4
skin of some models, so I was just like...
There's 4 ladies sat in the corner just with paint on them.
There you go. As Josh said, we both attacked very well, didn't defend very well.
Excellent.
Pretty much.
Nice to have you, Josh.
That's pretty much all I've done.
Yeah.
I pack, except for pack models away.
Are you due to move?
At some point, so I'm just packing stuff because it'll need to be packed at some point. I'm not going to use it, so.
Nice. And I know CJ has started a new job recently, so I don't know how much you've got done.
I'm currently in an Airbnb, so I wasn't allowed to bring any modelling or paints with me. So at the moment,
Okay.
nothing happening.
Would you have done anything if you were allowed to, or is this just a convenient excuse?
To be honest, I was enjoying doing a little modelling end projects, and now I can't do that, and I'm actually missing it because when you're sort of stuck in an Airbnb in a town you don't really know, you do your job, and then your evenings and weekends are kind of just now what?
Yeah,
Sat around.
you just sit there and watch TV.
I would message Dave Sweeting. He knows all about what to do when you're stuck with no ideas and everyone by yourself.
not very PG, but yes.
Yeah.
Talk to Dave Sweet.
Yeah.
It's only not for those who have a dirty mind.
Yeah. So, what have I done the last 3 weeks? Ardacon. Oh, I had a mad rush the week leading up to Ardacon to get models finished and bases printed and all that kind of jazz. The tournament rush, which we all hate, but we all do. And then obviously went to Ardacon, and then since coming back, I've just done a little bit of tidying, a little bit of housework, and yeah, looked at what I'm going to do next. So I've got a canned project that's kind of half started, and other bits and pieces that I've been thinking about, and been thinking about getting another 3D printer, but this time one of the FDM ones, because why not? So yeah,
You did miss the biggest challenge of your weekend, which was finding out where the stuff in your house to make me a cup of tea was when I stopped.
Oh yeah. I actually saw Ali in person on Sunday night.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's the first one.
Yeah.
No, I printed some stuff for Ali, so he picked up on the way home
Yeah,
and
'cause
went,
it was-
"Oh, can I have a cup of tea?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't drink it, so Chloe, where is it?"
Yeah, I was advised not to let Dewi make it for me because
Yeah,
it wouldn't be tea.
that is a good thing to do. Good thing to do. But yeah, so yeah, it was. It's been a pretty good 3 weeks. I've not really done masses. So if that's all, we've smashed that in like 10 minutes.
New world record. We don't even normally start broadcasting until now, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's get straight in to our first time top 5. We are going to try and get 2 in. And we're going to try and rattle through the tournaments as well. So let's. Oh, Josh. Anyway, disgusting indeed. Right.
Has he been?
Wait, he can't tune into it live. He tells us tuning into it live.
He's been invited to play some League of Legends. I can see him in the chat.
Oh, he's been outed, Josh.
Yeah.
You have been outed. Right. Time top 5. There. Say that quickly.
To be fair, we're going to talk about Khan all the time now.
Yeah, I know. And spinning.
5 canned units.
I'd like to point out that this week, as I have brought no books with me, I will be doing the Ali and Dewey approach memory.
Well, have
Sure,
fun.
I never look through the
The
books.
Geffen
anyway for the
approach
top
is
fives.
almost the same, just he doesn't know any from memory anyway.
Yeah.
So have fun with this one. Halfling, time top 5, Halfling Hero,
Oh, I don't know the name.
non-fellowship.
I don't even have this book, to be honest.
I literally don't know any of them.
Right, let's do another one. Let's
Oh,
do
I've
another
already
one.
started.
No, we'll do another one.
I would literally just be naming the 5 I can remember.
The traps guy, the sheriff guy.
The slingshot guy, he's my number 1.
Here we are. Here's a better one. Timed top 5 Legendary Legions. So we have 5 minutes to
Spoilers
do
ahead for Phaedra's Guard, apparently. At that moment.
Just open season top 5 legendary legions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh. You could go for competitiveness, you could go for theminess.
It is entirely up to you.
But we mean competitive. I could actually just look at the ones which are statistically the top 5 best.
I bet you it would take you longer than
No, because I've already got the thing open, and
Oh, have you?
It would be an interesting angle, so you go for that if you want to do that.
Are we?
Well, they're saying that it's kind of changed a bit because of where Rangers
never
have
know.
been.
I was going to say Rangers have
nerfed.
actually been FAQ'd properly.
Yeah,
so
I'll just do it from
Yeah.
head.
It's still a strong list though.
Oh god, I'm trying to remember them all.
Stuff has risen and fallen, so
Yeah.
like Riders of Theoden and to an extent Rangers of Ithilien now. But
Return of the King was the other one that was quite up there a lot.
well, that didn't get nerfed. That just kind of got boring.
The thing is, I still think Riders of the Third is one of the best out there.
I think it's still good.
It's
think
still
It's not as powerful, but
it elevates the ability of a player, but it doesn't really reliably get you a tournament win.
yeah. Well, like I played it at Stockport, and because you have gambling, it's just like
It's
Cool.
like
See, I wouldn't take
Okay.
gambling under 700.
yeah, now yeah.
You can have like 12 might at like 600. There is no need for
I know
gambling.
it wasn't Stockport. It was GT. It was the GT doubles with Dan Hookville.
Okay.
And we took the leisure. It was like, this is easy. We don't have to care about anything.
I'm actually forgetting the names of so many legions now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
See, I'm
Feel
trying
like
to
I
remember
should
all the
open.
like I know there was a nerf to the Riders, the Black Riders. But I can't remember what it is and how
was?
impactful it was.
There
Wasn't
wasn't. No.
I mean, the Riders of Theoden, the gambling ban enough.
No, I thought there was a nerf to the
The actual Black
ring
Riders.
rates.
No.
No.
If anything, they got better.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a nice season.
Don't forget, Men of the West comes number one.
Yeah, well, I thought that's just on its own separate list. But...
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I thought it was an awful list.
It definitely is.
That's the joke.
Oh, got it.
Oh god, there's so many. Oh.
Is it weird that I've got a 3, 4, and 5 before 1 and 2? Like I haven't even thought of 1 and 2. I just don't think these lists are good enough to be first and second.
Oh god, I don't know what I put as number one. I've got like a minute 45. I've got like a what's that, 8, and I'm trying to pick out which one's my top one.
Oh god,
I've got 5, but once it gets after the first 3, or the first 4, it's kind of like not quite sure what I want to put in.
I just put like I've put the note down, then completely changed the order, so I've got a bunch of errors. I'm just gonna rewrite it. Otherwise, I'll be reading the wrong things.
Sorry, I've got an order.
4 very strong competitive ones, and then for the 5th, I'm just going to put my favourite for the theme of it.
Jack said the Morgul Blade went to 10 points, which is what it should have been.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I didn't saw that. I thought that was just part of the, advantage of the Legion, and actually the Morgul Blade being less useful on a 1 attack model. But
No, it's 10 points in the Witch King's profile, but in the Legendary Legion, the points value got missed.
yeah,
I've
it's
just remembered
5,
a
I
couple
think.
more, which just made my decision harder.
I've just thought one, but I'm gonna not put it in. I don't think.
I think I'm also just going to do the crap Legions top.
You got 5
To be
seconds.
fair, that's going to be just as hard to come up with a top 5, to be honest.
Actually, I'm already halfway done.
And that is time. So, let me just go back to this one, and then back to here. Just sorting all my windows out. Oh, come on.
Technology.
Technology indeed. At least it's working this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say. At least it is working. Right. Here we are then. Our time top 5 legendary legions. I will kick us off with number 5, Dunland, because they have all the stuff that is handy. The banners go 6 inches. They've got crabine. They've got horses. Gorolf Ironskin is really good. Unless he's in Clubley's hands and he goes free heroic defense, and his opponent goes Thranduil 3 6s die.
I mean, you could have just left it as unless it's in Clubley's hands, and then it'd be like, yeah.
It's most armies really. There's like the Clubley handicap.
No, it's the it's also the fact you can get so many models. You've got 3 heroes that can strike, I think. Frida can nerf cavalry. The Oathmaker makes some guys fearless. I think it's just generally really well rounded. So yeah, number 5 is
Crabane, which are awesome.
Crabane are very good. They're annoyingly good. So right, that's my number 5. Alistar.
So my number 5, I had about 3 or 4 that I was considering. So I'll do a couple of honourable mentions. So but I won't really talk about them. Uglok Scouts.
Yeah, that was one of my honourables.
I had that as an honourable.
Helm's Guard.
Didn't even think of that.
Feardred's Guard. I put as honourable.
That's not even in your top 5 of you.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But no, I opted for Kirafungal.
Oh, I didn't. I completely.
I did too, but mine was just because it's my favourite thematic one.
But the thing is, you've got what is actually weirdly, even though he's only a hero of fortune, one of the best generals that you could have in a Mordor army.
Yeah.
In Shagrat.
Shagrat's a beast. He's always been a beast.
Gorbag's a really solid secondary hero, and then you've also got Shelob, who's like your wild card, fast moving sort of, and she's really good in the Legion because of all the bonuses. And then it's light Uglok Scouts. You don't get the movement benefit, but you get the sort of actual fighting rank. Like you can fight with a bit better.
Yeah, the +1s as well is nice.
Yeah, well, they both get the +1 to wound. Dave Farm obviously won it on the first G-Bit Show event.
Yeah, he won my event.
Back I went to, which was yours, Dewi.
Yeah, he won my event. So it's a solid Legion. It's a really solid Legion. See, did you say that was your number 5 as well?
Yes, and on the top 5 worst, my number 5 is Breaking of the Fellowship. Because you just can't win scenarios. You can be as annoying as you want with everybody having banners and resistant to magic and everybody re-rolling to win and whatever other bollocks that you can't remember when you're fighting it. But it just will struggle to do objective games.
Yeah. So, Geffen, your number 5.
My number 5 is Black Riders.
Black Riders.
It's a strong list. It's very hard counters certain lists.
Yes.
I think it's a hard counter to some lists, but the reason it's 5 is because some lists it's just like what are you going to do against like a horde list? Just black dart and pop.
Yeah.
So.
Which is honestly where the issue is. It's also new scenarios for me. Rule it out because numbers are king or becoming. So
yeah, like me and you have spoken.
I just thought.
Oh, go on then.
Honorable mention to the Balrog Legion.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that one.
Really?
I think the issue is I
like
haven't played it at a high enough points or seen it played to sort of.
I was going to say all the points. All the points that I've seen it taken is like between 500 and 600, 650.
I think 800 plus.
800, yeah.
Yeah. It's a very narrow field of events that's actually good at. To be honest, I just don't like the Legion and the play mechanic, but
yeah, fair enough.
That's also why I didn't put the Harad one. I was thinking the Harad one, but you need high points because you're forced to take the Mumuk.
Yeah.
So I feel like you need to be like 750, 800-ish.
Yeah.
It is solid. It is a nasty list when you get about 800 and you can have Big Chief Moonmac and full of archers, and then Sildan and a shed load of Serpent Riders, and you can cause quite a lot of pain with that.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. You've got to kill at least some stuff in the Howler to break. That's the kind of the trick that I've seen it implemented.
I like how Dewi said Black Riders, and we spent more time talking about other legions.
So, Geffen, what's your fourth?
My fourth is Army of Gothmog.
Oh.
I forget
Because
Army of Gothmog.
it's
Still,
a-
it wouldn't be on my list, but
yeah, it's once again it's a strong legion, but against everything it's a good legion. Against men it's really strong.
Yeah,
should I tell the issue of
basically.
Army of Gothmog? It's not that it's actually a bad legion. It's the fact that Mordor's basically better in 90% of situations.
Yeah.
Because you get more variety and
Because
stuff.
it's Mordor with less special rules and variety, like less varied special rules.
It's Mordor. It's Mordor for men. Like you just take the men. That's really weird. The way it's like
Is that the advert?
Yes,
It's
the
Mordor.
perfume
Mordor for
brand,
men.
Mordor for men.
Yeah. If you're fighting men, you take the Legion. If you're fighting anything else, Mordor's generally better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, disgrace.
Yeah.
So I value the reroll ones
Well,
and the +1 courage more from Mordor
Mhm.
than I do the 12-inch bubble for Gothmog's hatred.
That's fair.
Ali, you're number 4.
Hatred's quite an unbalanced rule anyway. It's just like if you play men, then you just completely overpower them. But if you don't, then it's a waste of
Yeah.
points and rules.
Yeah. But it's something nice to give
Yeah.
a profile, because I know Dunland have Hatred Rohan in the Legion.
It's really thematic this edition.
Yeah.
It was a big issue in the past with Gundabad Goblins when, like back in the day when it was good versus evil tournaments. So you took 2 armies, so you just have Gundabad Goblins. And it's like you're probably playing elves or dwarfs because men were
Well,
just
you can do that though with Hatred Men is the best hatred to have
Yeah.
because
By a long
so
way.
much men.
like if you go to a 6-game tournament, you don't play at least 3 armies with men. I'll be very surprised.
So what's the other Hatred? Arnor have got Hatred Angmar.
Black Shields have hatred dwarfs.
Gundabad Orcs have.
They
The
have
Isn't there
ancient-
something in the
They
Gundabad?
have ancient enemies, so reroll
It's
ones
ancient
against
enemies.
dwarves.
real ones, yeah. So, Ali, what's your number 4?
Dunland
Dunland.
for basically the same reasons you said.
Yeah, it's got all the tools, bar a bit of magic.
And it can be used at quite a lot of different points levels,
Yeah, massively.
which I think it tends to be a thing that blocks out, like Phaedrad's Guard, Sirifangor and all that, is it kind of caps out a lot of those, or they only work at specific levels.
Yeah. That's the thing I find really interesting about Legendary Legions is that at different points levels, Legions have different power levels.
Mhm.
And I think that's what makes them really interesting. It's the same with normal lists as well.
I guess it's because the limitations and the things you're forced to take.
Yeah. CJ, number 4.
So all of my top 4 are based on these legions at the height of their powers before they got nerfed. So number 4 is Defenders of Helm's Deep, when Gamling could just pump Aldor and Harleth full of might.
Yep.
Infinitely.
I mean, you can still pump one of them,
Yeah.
but
Hopefully, Aldor.
I was going to say, you don't want to pump a little kid, do you? No,
he's
Defenders.
got to inspire everyone somehow.
Yeah, Defenders of Helm's Deep, I agree, is even now is a good list.
Yeah, it's just not quite as...
See, I'm surprised it's only at number 4, especially considering you said at the height of its powers.
Oh, there's much worse yet to come. Number 4 for useless was Lurtz's Scouts, which for me is just a massive swing and a miss. If you know what you're doing, you can win a load of games with them, but they lack so many tools, and their special rules are a bit dumb, to be honest.
So, Skeeth Studios in the chat, Jamie Wiggins, finished 4th with them into the West.
Sean
with
Lang did
Lurtz's
pretty
Scout.
well with them at Lair of the Dragon. I think he won over half of his games.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah, he
what
can
CJ
win
was saying,
through-
if you know what you're talking, if you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
if you know what you're talking about, you know what you're
Yeah,
doing. But I feel like that's with
Sean
Scouts.
Lang, like he doesn't.
That's always been a thing though with Scouts, right?
Yeah.
If any random person takes Scouts in the past, they're probably not. They're gonna struggle or find it
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
But
I
some
know.
players
I
can
know.
play really well.
Jamie's favourite army, and he's used them a lot against me. So, yeah, he's got a lot of practice with them.
Mhm.
You just need to know what they can and cannot do. It's the same with most lists, to be honest.
You can't shield wall with them basically.
Yeah, So my number 4 is Assault upon Helm's Deep, because bombs and ballistas. I think people, and I don't know if they're wrong to do it, but when they load it full of crossbows, I don't agree, because you have to get across the board and you have to get objectives in most of our games. So
Do you need them when you got the
See-
I've seen everyone taking double ballista. Do you really need the crossbows?
that's the other point. I'd kind of go, you could have like, if or
couple.
600 points, have like 2 ballistas, a bomb, and maybe 2 or 3 crossbows, maybe 4, and then just
to
have
sit
the
on an
rest.
objective.
Yeah, and just have the rest as chaps, because the ballistas have a big threat.
Yeah, I've tried the one with crossbow heavy, and to be honest, if your opponent sat on objectives, you can just
Yeah,
them straight off. But yeah, there's a lot of scenarios where you are running for the middle or something, and your
Yeah.
crossbows wind up just being useless, and then they're defense 5, so they die much easier. So I think
yeah,
I'd experiment taking like more half and half. Because the list I wind up doing is you do 2 ballistas, 1 bomb squad, front row of crossbows, second row of pikes, and that more or less balances out because of the crew numbers for the ballistas. So you get
okay,
a third off that. So what I might do is, reel it back to have half with shield in front instead. Because, even the impact hits from the ballista, when you're dealing with defense 5, they
yeah.
die easier. I broke every single time because even when there wasn't a good shot on for the ballista, I just went, no, go for it.
I'm going to disagree and say I don't rate it that highly. I mean, I think every other one that we've mentioned, with the exception of probably Black Riders, is better now. I just don't rate the ballistas even with the upgrade. I'm just like there going, when I face a siege engine like a ballista, I'm just like, cool, you'll kill maybe 1 guy every other turn with it if I'm sensible, or unless you're really lucky, then you kill 2.
I just find siege engines annoying. I hate that they're used. I've said this since the start of the year.
There's a difference between
I
being
hate it.
annoying and actually being good, though.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I think, yeah, basically. And I think like the bomb control that you used to get where you could blow yourself up to end the game was the thing that made that list.
I am
as competitive as it was for a while, because you could
glad that's gone.
Because you could just really game the whole entire situation and just move on to objectives and win for half the scenarios.
Yeah, I am
You
so.
can still game the
glad.
riders though, can't you? You can just pop your wraiths.
Correct.
Yeah, but you don't actually have the numbers of the riders.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you pop 1 wraith, in a lot of objectives, there's 5 objectives, and you have to clear the enemy models off some of the objectives.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just think of what Assault on Helm's Deep is still solid.
Yeah, for me it just doesn't. Who knows? Maybe I'm doing a massive double bluff and it's in my top 5.
I find it really fun to
What's your
play,
next list?
but nobody finds it fun to play against. That's the issue.
Mhm.
But it came quite high up at Ardacon, if I remember correctly.
I think someone had it in like top 10 at least.
Top 10,
definitely.
7th, I want to say.
Yeah, 6th or 7th, I believe.
So
I don't think it's bad. To be fair, I think the way I would build it is screw the ballistas. I would just go as many troops as possible and maybe like 1 or 2 bombs hanging around.
Yeah. If you're screwing ballistas, you need double bomb squad.
Yeah, probably.
You definitely need double bomb squad.
Because you need it to take out the heroes.
Yeah.
Or do you go heavy on crossbows at that point because you don't have
No, I'm literally going like full on. What, can you get a drum in the list?
No.
Yes.
Give an Isengard troll a drum.
I was going to say the troll can take
I was
a
going
drum.
to say.
Maybe I'll do a completely weird Assault on Helm's Deep.
Why can you get trolls in Assault on Helm's Deep?
Because Isengard trolls were at the Siege of Helm's Deep. They just weren't in the film.
I don't even think they were in the book. The trolls were in Isengard trolls were in the book, were they?
They're in the book.
I don't remember them.
From memory. Because it's in one of the Two Towers scenarios in the old Journey books.
Mm-hmm.
The Isengard troll comes flooding through the breach.
Just because it was in the journey book doesn't mean it's
I
in
was
the
going to
actual
say,
book.
yeah.
Because I thought that was the reason why there was controversy when the Isengard troll model GW made, because Isengard didn't have trolls.
No, I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
don't
sure
remember any trolls.
I'm pretty sure somewhere Saruman made Isengard trolls. I could be entirely wrong.
People in the chat, go quickly read the Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings books.
Ali,
Feral Urets and Morgul Stalkers in that book are also just made up, aren't they? So
yeah. Well,
Jack
Feral
pointed out the thing with the Black Riders that to end the game on 25% with the race, you're down to 2 wraiths, at which point you're not holding enough objectives.
You're not holding any objectives.
Is there any mission where you go down 25% where you don't care about objectives? I assume all the objectives.
Well, heirlooms you could have like your guy with the prize.
Isn't that broken?
Or,
No, it's
no, that changed to
25%.
25% this edition.
Oh, okay. That's a bit better, actually. I didn't realize that was a change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was because it was terrible. When it was probably my least favorite scenario.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the most luck-based scenario.
Yeah,
It was.
No, I think it still is.
Definitely. Might still be.
Still
I
is.
haven't played this new stuff, so.
Yeah. No, the new stuff is mainly objectives and bits and pieces like that. So, right, Ali, number 3.
yes. We spent so long talking, I forgot. I put Rangers of Aphelion. Even with the nerf, they're still pretty good. Like at 650, 700, even at low points, they're still really good.
Yeah.
They're just not broken anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't really need to talk about Rangers that much, other than you get a lot of bows,
No.
you get a ring bearer, you get like some alright heroes, and quite a lot of fight for models.
You got to feel sorry for Damrod though. He'll never be included in Rangers of Aphelion again.
Don't know if you're maxed out your war bands and you got a 10
Yeah.
spare point. No, you don't have those 10 spare points or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
CJ, number 3.
Riders of Theoden with a fully active gambling banner was just the most obnoxious bollocks I ever had to deal with in the casual leagues. They just rock up, spend all the might to win every fight. Their fight value is higher. They'll break you in half in 2 on the first turn, and you don't get to shoot them because they'll stay out of range, march, and then charge. So you get 1 turn of shooting, if that. And just watching a guy play solitaire. It was horrible at the time, but it was going. And you can just obnoxiously do your heroic combat, go back to gambling, reload, let's go again, because you can't charge them because they've run back 10 inches. So it's just ugh.
I never did that.
Filth, Mr. Watkins. Filth.
I loved it. It was great.
What's your
Riders of AMF for the other one.
Oh, Filth.
Oh, for the fail. When I first read that, I was talking to Cameron. I was like, "This looks so good," and I was like, "Read it again." You lose everything.
How did that practice game of Riders of AMA go for you, Dewi?
It would have helped if I'd remembered to heroic combat and do the look to the sun thing, like the 2 big things the Legion does.
Well, no, it wasn't the issue of the look to the sun. It's because when you have to call it.
It's in your move phase.
Yeah, and then because I got a heroic move and then charged, I think, so it means that you then don't even get the benefit.
Yeah, because you've got to charge for it to be a benefit.
Yeah.
I think at maybe 700 points it could be all right.
The problem is Gandalf the White in that list is a huge point sink, and I don't think it's the best list for a Gandalf the White.
Do you need both Gandalf and Aemir?
You need Aemir as your leader, and you need Gandalf for the special rule.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
You're also stuck at fight 3, no Royal Guard, no bonus. You're stuck at strength 3, as far as I remember.
Yeah, that's one of the big hits.
Yeah, your cats just gonna bounce off
you
stuff.
get +1 strength
get
within 12 inches of Aemir, I think.
No, they transferred
special
it to
thing.
him. Fair enough.
You don't get the 5 value though, do you?
No.
No, so you.
Which is
Factory.
where the look to the sun thing comes in. So I think if you can get a good charge off, it would be devastating, but getting
Most
that
of the time
charge
it's
off is
just
difficult. And I think you'd want to spend most of your game with Channel Blinding Light up and just kiting, and then you pick your
Yeah.
moment and you go and you call Heroic Combats with Aemir and Gandalf and you just try and hammer home.
And at that point, you might as well play Rivendell Knights.
Or Riders of Theoden.
Or Riders, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. You're number 3, Gethin.
I got Cirith Ungol.
Cirith Ungol. For all the reasons said above.
Yeah, I just like the. It's relatively squishy, but it's just got a lot of killing power,
Yeah.
which I like.
I found when they lose, like, if that army loses fights, it dies super
The biggest
quick.
issue is the fight 4 and the strength 4 has to be in the front rank if you're doing a spear support thing.
Yeah.
Which means if you face someone who can take out a lot of the Uruks early, you're then solely relying on Shagrat and Shelob to do a lot of the work.
Yeah,
Which-
so I played, we had a little round robin tournament of mine at 450 points, and 2 guys took Cirith Ungol, and both times Imrahil went into 2 Uruks, called a heroic combat, made Gorbag both times, spent a point of might to strike. I just hit 2 more Uruks, and suddenly that's half his Uruks dead, and it's like, cool, like, fine. And then you've got like other heroes, also obviously with Fiefens being slightly higher fight because of Imrahil, you just go, cool, I'll win the fight and I'll kill you because I've got like 3 dice to your 2. So yeah, it's like you say, when it starts dying, it dies quick.
Yeah.
Super quick. But
No,
I
I
had a
also
guy
quite
trying
like
to
it.
stall out my Lake Town with the front row of Black Numenorians with a Wraith behind because he thought, aha, your Courage 2 will never charge me. So I just put Bard in to 2 of them. Heroic combat, 4 dead Numenorians. And it's like, right, guys, get the orcs behind them.
yeah,
So
that's exactly it. If you've got a big hero who can do that, that's like first port of call. AM is another one who do the same. You just go, cool, just go die. So, my number 3 is Defenders of Helm's Deep. Even with the gambling rules change, I think it is a very good legion. The only thing it lacks is a bit of movement, like cavalry, etc.
Which only would be an issue if you didn't have unlimited heroic march. It's from several places.
You've still got 2 characters with 3 might who can heroic march and they can banner themselves to have more might. Like,
I mean, you can put
not,
Aragorn in as well.
Yeah, or you just
do
put
it as
Aragorn.
well.
Yeah, or you just put Aragorn. It's the whole toss-up. Do you take gambling or do you take Aragorn? Like,
Gambling's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, but Aragorn's Aragorn.
But Aragorn has much more flexibility.
You're talking about King Elisar on a green alliance, or are you talking about the Fellowship one on a yellow?
This is the
No, because
The
it's a
Legion.
Legendary Legion.
Yeah, this is Strider.
Which one?
Strider.
Defenders of Helm's Deep. It's
Has
Strider.
Strider.
With armor though, so he's D6, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Thought you were on Riders of Theoden. Sorry, miles
No.
away.
It's alright.
It's not like you can't ally for people with Legendary Legions either, CJ. Like.
That would be cheating in the highest. They're rough enough.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's still really good, and the fact you can outshoot everyone is handy. Definitely handy.
Yeah, it's not just the third of elf bows. It's once you get close, they then just throw everything in your face.
Well, it's the fact you've got 30-inch range as well.
Yeah,
which is most helpful. So
Does that make that much of a difference?
it can. Well, if your opponent's only got 24-inch range and you've got a load of guys who can just stand there and outshoot, they've got to come to you.
I guess, but with most of the objectives being, or most of the missions being, you have to move forwards anyway. I feel like the 24-inch.
I don't think it's the biggest bonus, but it will help. Like
it helps.
every once in a while.
And then you've got the +1 courage when broken. And Jack's
and you
just
re-roll within 6 of Theoden for courage tests. Which is
yeah,
great.
and Jack's just made a good point that Aragorn could get to fight 7 with Halath around. So
Yeah,
And
that's
everyone
really-
can go up to fight 5 or 4, or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Theoden goes to fight 6, and somebody's actually.
Why is that a thing?
I
About?
thought that works
It's
on Theoden.
because men get really inspired by small children with big swords.
Like, what? Something like.
That's what we've learned from like.
Is this the fourth character that Jay's done like this, right? Because there's all 3 of Bard's
I mean,
kids. And
I
I'll
don't
just
want to
random
imply
pick.
anything, but Jade definitely writes interesting rules for kids that seem to benefit everyone else.
So why is Hallis strength 3, like the strength of a full-grown man who's a soldier? I'd have thought Hallis should be strength 2, like the kids, but anyway. I know Bane is strength 3 for
Yeah.
whatever bloody reason.
I mean, Bane can go up to fight 5, can't he, with 3 heroic combat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 1 attack, so it's not.
I'm not saying the profiles are unbalanced in terms of like how they're actually written,
It's just
but
a bit
it's from the background standpoint. It's like I don't remember Halleck inspiring any. Like if it just affected Aragon, I could kind of get it, but
Yeah. Well, it's the whole symbolism of fighting for everyone in Rohan, isn't it? And that kind of thing.
What about Eowyn? No, Eowyn, I mean. Surely, like, if they've seen...
She's not,
like,
she's not in the list. She's in the caves.
Oh, no, but I just mean in, like, the list
as
in
a
general.
rule, generally, because
If you
Aldor
see,
can be like...
if you see Eowyn fighting and you're a royal guard, you'll be like, what the hell's she doing? Get in there! Just like, you're going to be doing everything to defend her.
So, my number 2 is Riders of Théoden. For the points said that they can just...
That's my number 2 as well.
Essentially, they can break you in a turn.
It's also my number 2.
And I think Matt's probably going to be a bit disappointed.
I did think about it. That's probably an honourable mention for me, Defenders of the Shire. I genuinely think if someone plays them a lot and gets practice with them, I genuinely think they could be quite handy.
Especially at like the sub sort of 600 points
I
level.
made a 600 point list that has 66 models in it, and it's got all the useful things. And
it's honestly like an interesting list. I was contemplating it when I started looking at lists again. Just the combination of, I think that the traps are actually better than everyone thinks. It's the ambush rule. Like you can
the
ambush
rule is actually what makes it competitive.
12 bows just appearing behind your spears. All right, I'll take it.
Or you do what Matt did in Recon and go, oh cool, there's a piece of terrain that's 6 inches from the edge of the board. I will put all my sheriffs in it, and he's got march, and boom, I'm off the board.
Because you can do something like that.
It helps so much for the objective scenarios when I don't think there's march in Hobbit lists unless
there's or Mary has it, and there's another one.
I think they both.
I think there's 2 or 3 models with march.
I don't know why I'm saying that. Oh, I've got the scouring book in front of me.
But even then, you're doing 7 inches at the cost of a might within a short range when nearly everything is only an inch shorter than that for standard.
But it's also the fact that you, unlike other armies where you basically you add 50% of your movement, with hobbits you're adding nearly 100% of your movement, which doesn't sound like a lot, but
both Merry and Pippin.
Both Merry and Pippin, and then Holfoot's got it as well, who's the sheriff. Oh, and Robin Smallbow has it as well. So
a lot of the heroes do.
No, you're not really going to take Robin though.
We'll see.
He's the one that gives you. He's the secondary sheriff hero.
Okay.
And he gives you the ±1 for reinforcements. So into the west, someone lost their Witch King on horse
to a trap.
But there's things. Oh, someone was saying like a Kandish king lost his chariot to a trap as well because they're cavalry models. Which is unlucky.
You can also use the pit trap really well.
Actually, the pit trap is the most confusing trap because you activate it by going within an inch, and then you get pulled into the trap. Does that mean you actually move to where the trap is?
Yeah.
Which can actually impact, so you can move into an inch of someone and charge or something like that. And it's are you then no longer in combat because you moved an inch, half an inch that way, or?
It's essentially the control zone, whichever control zone you enter first, the trap or the model.
Well, you can use you can use it with a hobbit to expand its control zone by putting the hobbit within an inch of it, because if your base is over the hole, you fall into it. So if someone charges your hobbit, they fall back into the hole and they're no longer in contact.
It's just more, do you get dragged into the hole or do you just stay where you are, really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it specifies that you get dragged into the hole, which is why it's just it doesn't block stuff.
Yeah.
No, but
That's how I read it.
yeah, no, but that's what you would kind of think. But also, is the trap actually specifically there, or is it somewhere around there? If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I guess yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's gonna be a massive issue.
Yeah. CJ, number 2, please.
Be the Kamikaze Assault, because to be honest, that was released December, won the grand tournament in February, and then by the February FAQ, Jay had said, "Pack it in, Jasmine." So that was quite an impressive turnaround.
To be fair,
That was
though,
just the-
Jay,
yeah, so-
Jasmine's lists do seem to be weirdly targeted by FAQs because at the GT the year before, she was the one who took like an Eastling hero in her Mordor list just to get the reroll 1/2 army vote, and then suddenly that was no longer allowed.
I mean,
It-
it make like
That makes sense.
she is
to me.
finding loopholes.
But I mean, that one's not like she won the GT because of the rule.
Oh,
It's just like,
yeah.
like because loads of people come up with like small mini loopholes all the time. It's just like
Yeah.
Jasmine seems to be very good at getting them actually FAQ'd.
You just spam them with messages.
I'm half expecting Woses to be like FAQ.
CJ, I'm guessing as you're doing pre-nerf legions, your top one will be Rangers of Ithilien.
Of course, it just for everything under 700 points for the best part of 2.5 years, it was just the thing that everybody said, for God's sake,
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah.
For anyone who was going, it only won like 2 events. That's because it only really appeared at 2 events because most of the time we policed ourselves.
Yeah.
But also, it's the thing of more so Middle Earth and like 40k and Age of Sigmar. The top players don't play the best stuff because they want to have fun and they want to play what they enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like you don't see people taking the filthiest stuff to every tournament. You see some players doing it.
We're in about clearly from what everyone's been saying, Survivors Late Town's the best list. Jay,
That's why
is one of the best players.
That's why you've won 2 events in a row without them.
Oh,
Stuff like that. Just
yeah.
You're spoiling like the reveal later.
So
Just for the crap lists, number 2 was Ruffians Legion. It's up to
Number
Parkhill
one,
to
then.
prove us wrong, but nobody has got that many ruffians, so we'll
Harry
never know.
Parkhill does.
Yeah.
That's
In
what he
his
said.
game,
Parkill's got to prove us wrong.
well, there was
And
someone. There's someone who took it to Into the West last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Any good?
I can't remember.
I know Josh Devoy really wants to run Ruffians at some point.
Does he?
Well, you know the best thing about Ruffians, which I reminded Dewi of yesterday, is what heroic tier is Worm?
Yeah.
Independent.
No,
Valor.
No.
No.
Legend. He's a legend. isn't
Legend.
he?
Yep.
they both come under Hero of Legend, so Worm will also pass his first break test.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Which is amazing. Like that is incredible. But yeah.
Like,
And then, yeah,
that's
of
why
course,
it should
none.
be on the top 5, CJ, not your bottom 5.
Well, the top one was Men of the West, so yeah.
Yeah, I can well imagine. I think
So
it,
bad.
at 1,000 points, it could be all right.
No, the issue is, at 1,000 points, you can just take a better version by allying Fiefdoms, Rohan, and minus Turf.
Yeah, but then you
Exactly.
don't get the twins.
So you don't need the twins.
I
It's like you
Oh,
could take the
dear.
twins, lose your army bonus, and then it's still better.
Yeah.
Impossible allies. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because you get horses.
Yeah.
You just get more variety.
It's not even that. It's just literally like because you don't have to have everyone leading certain things in like odd ways and stuff like that. And
Yeah. Because it's what Legolas. What is it? Legolas, Gandalf, Gimli, twins can't lead troops
yeah,
because Gandalf doesn't have the keyword, even though he's in the Ministry of list.
yeah.
So
Whereas if you took Gandalf, like took it outside the Legion, Gandalf can lead troops.
yeah.
But yeah.
So
Which heroes do you have to take in that list?
Aragorn.
Just Aragorn's the
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
then
one.
you get your choice of everyone else on foot.
So most
it-
most people go Aragorn, Imrahil, because then
Is it actually King Alessa? Or...
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because
Oh, yeah, you're not allowed to go chief on this.
yeah,
Well,
So you
I wasn't sure if it was Alessa or Strider. that they
yeah. It's
play.
the it's
Nah,
the,
he's
it's
in
the balance.
the get
Is it-
up.
Yeah.
But he's not being king yet.
Yeah, but he goes to the black.
Cheating.
He goes to the black gate as LSR, doesn't he?
The model is what he's wearing at that point.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Geffin, what's your number one?
My number one is Phaedra's Guard.
Oh God, of course it is.
I don't know how I didn't see that coming.
You get Helmingas. Hello.
Ali,
Helmingas with spear support.
Actually,
Actually,
do you want-
stinky elves.
No,
And you get I also was good. So I played the one list against Josh, and I thought it was pretty good. And then I was like, "Hey Ali, what did you take?" And he showed me his list. I was like, "I like it."
no, you said, "Why are you doing that, you idiot?"
Yeah, I asked you
Something
why you
along
doing
those
it.
lines.
You-
Is like,
You
yeah.
then explained it. I was like, "Okay, makes sense."
yeah, it's when,
And also
it's when you look at someone's list and you go, "What on earth are
Ju-
you doing?" And they explain it. You go, "Yeah, actually, you make some very good points."
To be fair, it was more along the lines of, "Why have you done this?" Just wondering.
I think it was like, why have you taken the Outriders over like normal
Oh,
archers?
yeah.
It's like for 1 extra point you get a shoot value, and there's
When I was
quite
asking
a
why the
handy
extra, but that's actually, but yeah, I'm like, I was thinking about that list, and I was thinking that it'd just be better if you dropped 2 Outriders and got 3 horses.
Try have.
So
Oh, what you mean the horses for the Outriders?
yeah.
Oh, we can talk about that later anyway.
Trust me,
Yeah.
it's a discussion I've had with Ali a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I can understand the bows and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think
Ali,
more
Ali,
horses.
you're number one because then at 9 o'clock we can crack
Is
on
Defenders of
with
Helm's Deep,
Defenders of Helm's Deep.
because it's not like, so Riders of Theoden elevate the ability of the player
Correct.
more, but Defenders of Helm's Deep, once you master it, is so much better list because
Oh,
you've-
don't say that. Calman's running that list. We don't want to give him a big ego.
no.
Carmen, it's
In
not
that
very
case, I
good.
withdraw all my statement. No, if he's running that list and like he's winning, it's because I'm still saying it's the best list. But yeah, no, it's just really strong. You've got everything you need. As someone who kind of wrote the book on taking heroes on foot, I guess I can say, or like at least a controversial blog post. I don't see movement being an issue. You got 5/5. You got good heroes. You got like
Yeah.
really good shooting. You got spears, and you've most importantly you've got options. Unlike
Yeah.
most legendary legions, you can build this a couple of ways and it's still good.
Because World Champion took it to the first event after it came out, and he
So-
had Legolas, Haldir, Halef, Gambling, and Aldor. Obviously, Untaden.
So he went full on shooting version, came second. Jay
No,
at the
he,
GT.
he had 10-10-10.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think
something
so.
like 10 Royal Guard with spears, 10 warriors with shield and spears, and 10.
10 elves with bows.
No, they were warriors with Rohan.
Oh, well, they always were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and then he had 3 Fight 6 characters who can all strike. And it's
Yeah.
like, cool. Crack on. So he had like, what was it 15 shots? Because he had Legolas and Haldir. Oh, and Aldor. So I think he had Aldor. So like 16 shots.
Yeah, he did, because that was where the whole question about the heroic shoot and Aldor came
Okay.
up.
So yeah, like it's been a strong list that no one's really capitalized on because I think
I think they were starting to, like, as in, so at the GT, quite a few people took a version of it, including Jay and Calvin and that. Obviously,
Yeah.
that was only good versus evil, and
Mhm.
I think a lot more people would be talking about it if I hadn't managed to sort of essentially stop Jay winning the event. Because of where Jay didn't win the event, everyone was talking about Assault on Helm's Deep as opposed to Defenders because
Yeah.
Jasmine won.
It's just
Yeah.
more-
fair enough. My number one's probably a little bit controversial, and it is Army of Gothmog. I think at the right points level, having a massive defense 6 with some small heroes who can strike, a catapult with a troll is brutal, and Master of Battle, it's really handy.
You've got like no numbers though. If you got Gothmog and the Troll, Couple.
At 650, I had
You said low numbers.
34.
Genuinely, though, is that better than just doing that in Mordor and taking like slightly more optimized characters?
It's that one turn where you get reroll wounds.
But you get that with a 12-inch bubble anyway, which is pretty much the whole board.
Yeah, that's why I said bigger points.
Yeah, but I'm just like there going, like for me, what is the optimized points for that?
Wait, you said bigger. Oh, I thought you said lower points.
No, bigger points. Army of
Okay,
Gothmog.
that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
It's like 450 points with Gothmog and a troll.
No.
Crazy.
Because the other thing is Mordor. Then in theory, if you've got the numbers, you get to reroll 1s to wound all the time.
Yeah, but reroll all wounds. You
Yeah.
can just massacre for a turn.
I haven't used the exact list, but I've done it with like a few practice games for my Morgul Stalker Gothmog army.
Yeah.
The 12-inch bubble was more than big enough, I found.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if you face men, Army of Gothmog has that extra like.
Well, yeah,
benefit.
it's the point you can spam defense 6.
And,
and like a lot of lists are like, oh god, okay.
Yeah. I just there again, you can do that in Mordor anyway. It's just changing your special rules.
Yeah. But where's the fun in that, Ali?
There isn't any fun.
There we are.
We don't do this for fun.
Actually, I ran into it quite a lot with Lake Town when it first came out, Army of Gothmog, and it's not a nice thing to be dealing with. But at that point, you can just piercing strike for free because if you lose, your guys are going to die.
Yeah. Well, I remember Matt King winning into the Western Fringes of Thillion, and there was one game where he had to play Army of Gothmog.
My brother won into the West.
Wait, Matt King?
No, Matt Light.
I was like, wait, what? When did this happen?
You know, those kings are always cheating. And he said he had to play Army of Gothmog in one of the scenarios. I can't remember who the player was, and they got to start quite close. And Matt did get a scare playing Rangers of Thillion because Army of Gothmog. He said like a couple of turns of combat, and he was like, "Oh god, okay," because they can just tear through anything.
Like they are only 5-3 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That.
But then,
so even if you pop that one turn thing.
Generally, for me, the only reason it's not on my list is because I think normal Mordor is better.
Yeah, possibly.
But like, as in, I think it's a good. Like, usually, if someone asks me what a good Legendary Legions, I'll still chuck it in.
Yeah.
I mean, I also did forget about it until the very end of the 5 minutes, but that's irrelevant.
Cool. Right, that is our time top 5 done. We will now move on to some tournament chit chat. So, seeing it's 9 o'clock already, and we'll probably go for another hour-ish, hour and a half maybe. Me and Ali, we've got 3 tournaments to run through, and we've got to run through them pretty sharpish.
Oh, I can do it really easy.
I won one, 2 weeks later I won another.
Oh, I was going to say, I threw some spears. It went well.
Yeah. So
I did it again. Yeah. It also went well.
If you quickly run us through Grey Havens, like points values, where, TO, etc.
Yeah, so
carry on.
Grey Haven, 650 points. Up in Preston, run by Charles. It's a pretty small number event in the end because of like late pullouts and just generally, I don't think the community's as big up there. So I think it was 16. Could be wrong. So my 650 was Fairdred, Elfhelm, and Grimbold, and then I had something like 12 Royal Guard on foot with throwing spears, 12 Helmingus on foot with throwing spears and shields, 9 Outriders on foot, and then 3 Mounted Royal Guard with throwing spears. It's something like that. It may not have been exactly, but it came up to 40 models. 9 might. Generally, over the course of the weekend, I played Dwarfs, Lake Town twice, Helmsguard, and Kirafungal. I won all of them, which meant that I won the event.
How many VPs did you concede?
So,
I remember
all of my victories were what I would consider major victories, apart from against Helmsguard, which I only won 3-1.
Okay.
And that one was also the only game I think that I had which went to time. So, like, it may have been a major, it may not have been. It was a lot of skirmishing around because we were both like, we have a lot of throwing spears and heroes that we don't want to like get caught out. Also, the board was very marshy. So, but generally, it was just there going. I had the same. I outnumbered or was close enough model count to most armies were. So the Lake Town only outnumbered me by like 3 or 4 models. And even if I couldn't use my throwing spheres like against Lake Town, or they just had a bad game, the threat of them was enough to like change people how they were playing, or my troops were just generally strength 4 and fight 4 superior enough that like it just really kind of 650 it worked a lot better than I thought. I was worried going in not having heroic march because like I usually swear by it, but the throwing spheres help kind of negate that, and you got a couple of cavalry models to actually get the objectives you need. But yeah, no, going into the last game of that event, I also knew I'd already won it, so I could kind of chill out. And I say chill out, I then ended up like playing Colm for the second time with Lake Town, who'd beaten everyone else apart from me at the beginning of that day. Actually, in that first game, he did the amazing thing of he rolled a 1-1 with Alfred and Bard. So Alfred stole all the might. He did strengthen will Alfred to give 1 back to Bard, but no, in the end, I managed to basically just kill him in combat because he had to split up his force, which weakens Lake Town because it was destroyed his supplies, and then basically I just go smash things. And then the second time I played him, I absolutely obliterated like 11 guys in the first turn. Elfhelm did
Just with
some
throwing spears.
no, so I thought it was going to be throwing spheres, and I killed one with throwing spheres, and then combat, it was just I charge it in. I'm higher fight value, I'm killing him on 5s, and pretty much because it was nearly all my army versus his, and then I had some guys going around the flank.
Okay.
And then I had a significant numbers advantage, and he was just chasing the game. I think that was domination. Elfhelm did a kind of cool thing with his throwing spear, which is basically he kills one of the kids and then he runs away and Bard chases after him for like the whole game, which kind of shows the one weakness actually that Bard has. If you have someone like Elfhelm who can just go, I've got 3 might with a rerolls to hit, reroll in the way, and reroll wound.
Yeah.
Throwing spear.
Get Aldor on the go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and
Keep the
then
rerolls.
yeah, so generally the list worked well. I didn't think I had any what I call significantly bad luck at the event, so it's one of those ones where it's like, and like I didn't find myself in any I need dice roll situations, so I wasn't quite sure whether I was just lucky to a certain extent or whether the list was
So
good.
statistically average dice across the event, you would say.
Yeah, or my favour in terms of Bard rolling lots of ones.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What were the boards and like the prizes like?
They generally varied quite a lot. So the boards, the 4x4, there were ones which were like you call your standard ones. There was like a Shire one. There was like a full-on marsh, like Den Marsh's style board, which I played the Helm's Guard on, which it's a pain in the ass when it was Vohan kind of versus Vohan because like the marshes were difficult terrain or water, and like but you still had line of sight everywhere, so it was really varied and interesting actually. The tables, everyone there, like even though there were quite a few people with competitive armies, were really nice. Oh, that was the other one. I played a Corsair list with just Suladan allied in.
No riders or anything with him, just Suladan.
No, just Suladan. And that was another one where basically it was a maelstrom. So it was heirlooms actually. So we all ended up coming on like, and sort of is like my warband, here's mine. Sort of was like how it worked. And so we had a proper test to see whose throwing weapons were better, and it turns out Bohan's were because I basically kill him on 4s, and he kills me on 6s or 5s, and then when combat hits, it's then even worse, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my very brief summary of my event in 5 minutes.
Nicely done.
Any questions, gents?
Do you want me to go through Into the West as well at the same time?
I don't mind. I'll chat through Adicon because that was next in order, and I've got all my stuff written down in front of me. So yeah, well, it's all my might, will, fate, and I just put a little bit of thing below it. Yeah, I went up to Articon a week and a half ago. Obviously played Chaos Inada on the Friday morning, and then played doubles in the afternoon. Chaos was good fun. I had Tom Smith, Dan, I can't remember his name, and then Ben Viney, maybe. Can't remember. I saw his name pop up on Facebook. That's one of like the recommended friends today. I took my Mahood, so I had King, Tribesmaster, some camels, a couple of half trolls, and guys with blowpipes. Tom had denizens, so he had a bat swarm, one warg, two mugwort spiders, spider queen, and the rest were giant spiders. Dan had the Balrog Legion, so he had Balrog and like I think it was like 9 guys because he had some prowlers. And then Ben had Thorin's company, so he had Thorin, Dwalin, Dory, Oin, Orion Pony, I think it was. So yeah, that was interesting and good fun and just chaos. The Mahood formed a really strong alliance with Thorin's company, and yeah, kind of eventually tried to chop down the Balrog. And I eventually ended up winning my table 12 points to Ben's 8, and the other guys got 5 each, I think. So yeah, that was good fun. And then played doubles with Mr. Clubley as my partner. We thought, right, we're going to have some fun. So I took Imrahil, 8 knights of Dol Amroth, all on horse. One of them had a warhorn. He took Boromir, 6 knights with shield, 3 Citadel Guard with longbow mounted. We lost. We lost the first game to Harry Moore and Johnny Wright. They had Thorin with Erebor Reclaimed and Thranduil with stuff. We won our second game against 2 guys from Swindon, Sam and Dan. They had Suladan and Dalamir. There was a lot of Harad. There was a lot of Serpent Horde Umbar combos across the whole weekend. Well, the whole week actually, with the English Open, the Masters, doubles, and singles. That was a really common combination, like super common. And then we won against Reigns of Athelion in the final game, playing Tommaso and Eric from Italy. So that was good fun. I don't think I've ever seen 4 heroic moves called in turn 1. But yeah. It was essentially because it was like Boromir, Madril, Faramir, Imrahil, the rest of the Rangers. It was like, cool. Heroic move, heroic march, heroic move. And we got to. They went first, so they marched Faramir and Madril towards Imrahil and their guys. And Imrahil went, cool. In we go. And just charged straight in. And then called a heroic combat. Oh yeah, burnt. In 2 of the games, Imrahil burnt all 3 might on the first turn he was in combat, calling a combat, and then a might to win, and then might to win the fight.
Why you got 3 might?
Yeah, so just blew it all straight away. And then like the turn after, Boromir comes in. Boromir killed Faramir, which was quite amusing. So yeah, it was good, and we finished 5th in the end.
I think CJ's bored.
Yeah. So onto my singles. So I took my standard Angmar list at 600, which was Witch King, Birder, 2 Barrow Whites, Orcs, 1 Spectre, 2 Wild Riders. That's pretty much it. And I had 37 models. So I played Chris Fletcher, game 1. It was Lords of Battle. He had Easterlings, Amda, and a War Priest with a Candish Chariot and some Riders. By the end of turn 1, the Candish King and Amda weren't on their mounts. The Candish King had a horseman hurled into him, and Amda had his horse black darted. Essentially, Chris was very, very hungover. So yeah, we just got on with it. So I did 12-0 win with my secret mission, which were in play. Then I played a guy called Matthew O'Hare, who had Elendil and Gladriel. This is Lothlorien Gladriel. It was domination. He had 20 4 models, so I'm instantly way higher. Black Dotted Lender's horse straight away. If not, I was gonna hurl a guy at him. Best bit about this game was my 2 Wild Riders went to one flank. I expected a Galadriel Knight who failed his courage test in front of them, and one of them went 6 to hit the guy, 6 to wound. Thank you. There's your 1 cavalry model, by the way. So that was pretty impressive. Ended up being a 10-0 win with Oath. Then I played Tom Harrison on table 1, game 3. He had Survivors of Lake Town, so Bilbo, Percy, Bard, Girls, Alfred. This one was really weird because it was Command the Battlefield, so Maelstrom, and Bilbo turned up. Percy used a point of might to turn up next to Bilbo, and the captain turned up next to Percy, and then Bard rolled a 1. I had one of my Barrow-wights across the other side of the board from his 2 warbands, and then Burda, a Barrow-wight, came on close to them, and the Witch King came on on the board, close to them, but on the other board edge. In hindsight, Burda should have just gone straight for those 2 warbands because Bard didn't turn up for another 4 turns. Tom rolled 4 1s with Bard to turn up, which is handy. Yeah, very strange.
There's a theme going with bards.
Bards rolling, yeah.
One thing I did notice that we played wrong, and I didn't look it up either, was Bilbo can't get might from Alfred because you don't have his Lake Town keyword.
It's classic Harrison Hustle, that is. It charms you into letting him get away with dodgy rules.
Yeah. I didn't bother looking it up. So, but he only had 4 more models than I did at the start. But yeah, it ended up in a 10-2 loss. But I did get my oath. Come on the battlefield, and my oath was to have more people within the middle 6 inches, knowing that everyone is going to be on the outside 12 inches. So, it seemed a pretty.
Was he like, why have you run 2 people?
Yeah, it was right at the end. It was right at the end. I could see the game was going to end. I was like, they can run away. So yeah. Then game 4 was against Neil McLaughlin, who Ali's played a few times. He's the Helm's Guard player. And it was Destroy the Supplies. That ended in a 6-6 draw, with, I think, my moment of the tournament. So I turn, what was it? Must have been turn 3 or 4. So there was like 3 tents. I'd come through the middle. He'd sent some guys round, and then Helm and his 2 captains were behind the back tent trying to avoid my magic. And I got close enough to Spectre a guy out. Hero combat off him with Burda into one of his captains, and he spent ages trying to keep Helm and his guys Helm and his captains all safe. And I heroic combated into one of the captains, hurled him through Helm and another captain and 3 guys. The first captain I threw died. He took 2 wounds, rolled a 1 on his fate. He had full might. Helm then took a wound from falling off his horse and being hurled through, and the other captain took a wound. And Helm failed his fate. So yeah, it was definitely the best hurl I've ever done. But yeah, so that ended up in a 6-6 draw, but I still got my oath, which was quite handy. Then I played Simon Roberts game 5, who had Isengard, Lurtz, Malher, and Sharku at Recon, and he had 2 Krebine. So immediately, ouch, this is going to hurt. End up being a 10-2 loss, but I still got my oath. He was incredibly good at resisting spells. Sharky rolled a natural 6, Malher rolled a 5, he went into a 6, and then Lurtz rolled 2 natural 6s later on. And it was like, what? No, my list does spells, please stop resisting my spells. So then the last game was against Rob Gray, who had a Serpent Horde Mordor alliance. So he had Suladan, a king, and the Witch King of Felbeast. And he had like 5 Moranons, and then a mix of all the Harrod stuff that you normally see. And it was Fog of War. and in the last turn, I managed to pass a Curious with Burda, Spectre a guy close enough to him that he could barge off him into Suladan, who was paralysed on a 1-dice paralysed because that was the only barrel I had close enough, and got the kill. And that was the guy I was trying to kill, and that was the guy he was trying to keep alive. So that ended up in a 10-4 win. So I finished 3 wins, a loss, 3 wins, a draw, 2 losses, and I got all 6 oaths, so they were tournament points as well. So I ended up finished 15th out of 80, or whatever it was, the final number. So yeah, good weekend. The next person with 3 wins and a draw was Jack Whitefoot in 24th.
I was going to say, I remember seeing the thing and Hughes jumped a bunch of 4-win people.
Yeah, so it was something like I had a chance to beat Neil right at the end if his banner had died to a black dart or it just died in combat. And if I'd won that, it would have tipped me to 8th, I think it was. So yeah, so a really good weekend, and Team Wales came 3rd. So yeah, can't complain.
Hell yeah!
Huzzah! Retaining our 3rd place. It was 3rd place UK before, but yeah, no. So Ardacon was a really good weekend, and as a thank you, James was letting people buy tickets for next year if they were there. So I have my ticket purchased for next year. So yeah.
And I have mine deferred for next year.
Say that again, CJ?
I'll say so does Ali, but I thought.
Yes, because Ali deferred his.
Got his master's ticket, hasn't he?
Yes, he does. Well, yes,
Well,
he should have.
Well done on that.
Yeah, for winning Into the West, correct?
Yeah, is that a segue to Into the West?
Correct.
Cool. So I went to Into the West, and I took Theodred's Guard again, because actually only a month before Lair of the Dragon happened, which was basically Into the West but an 80-pointer, and that was the first time I took Theodred's Guard. I'd finished 3rd at that event. Day 1, I'd actually lost 2 out of 4 of my games, and then I won my last 3 on day 2. And
Did you change your list?
Yeah. So the main change that I made is I dropped a couple of guys and swapped them out for just sort of Royal Guard on foot and Warriors on foot. I haven't got Helmingus at this point in exchange for 5 Outriders, which actually put me up to 26 models total from 25. So my army was Theodred mounted, Elfhelm mounted, and then 3 Royal Guard mounted with throwing spears, 7 Royal Guard on foot with throwing spears, 8 Warriors on foot with shield and throwing spear, and then 1 guy with banner and throwing spear. So 26 models. So I can remember these games a bit better because it's a bit more recent. So game 1, I can't remember the guy's name. Really, really super nice guy, but he had sort of standard issue Urukai army, so it was Lurtz and Vrasku, some crossbows, a couple of berserkers, warriors with shield, and pikes. And we played Ill Met by Moonlight. So it meant that his crossbows were suddenly shortened to 12 inches range, and that means that he would only maybe have 1 turn to shoot me before I threw
everything
20 throwing spears with +1 to wound.
It's quite nice.
And at that point, it wasn't a great scenario for him, and I kind of just won because throwing spears kill in that scenario.
Yes. Having played Farharad with blowpipes, yeah, it's a similar thing.
He didn't actually play back. I think he was on about he hadn't been to that many events, hadn't played for a while. I can't remember which one, but he actually played it pretty well. It was just a poor matchup, poor scenario, not much he could do. And so that was in the end, I think a 9-0 win or something like that.
You keep talking because it's probably on Discord somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I killed Lurtz. Oh yeah, because I handily kept you all up to date on the Discord, didn't I? For a change.
Did.
But so that was that one, which then led me into game 2, which was something that Dewi is about to tell me.
No. You won your
Oh.
first game 8-1, and it just
8-1.
and it just says your second game scoreline.
What was the second game scoreline? 9-1.
8-0 win.
8-0. So second game I played Dave Clark,
Okay.
I think. Was it Dave first? Basically, I played Dave at Recon. I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3. And he had New Dale. So he had King Brand, about a captain as well with Bo, 50-50 split on sort of the new Knights of Dale, more or less, and sort of warriors, and then all the warriors that could had bows.
Nice.
The way that I played it is often how I like to do Recon. Generally, I split my army in half, one warband going that way, one going that way, which forced, and then I just had the outriders in the middle, just to sort of cover and just pepper shots at anyone. It forced Dave to either commit and let one of my warbands off, or then what he did was split his guys and then sort of come towards me. My shooting was so much more effective than his in the end, because as soon as we got close, my throwing spears, I had probably a really good game, I have to admit, because he was one of the few players that I played who had quite a bit of D6 in the Knights, and I just killed enough to sway the numbers my way. And in a weird turn of events, it was helpful when we did get combat, because I kept on losing priority, which meant he had to decide to charge me and forfeit his +1 to wound bonus, or he doesn't charge me, and then
You're
I can
throwing
just
spears.
pick and choose, or like pull back and throw spears.
Yeah, that's a horrible
That game
matchup
really,
for
once it started running away from Dave, it just went horribly wrong.
So that's how you counter the new Knights, throwing spears.
Yeah.
Yeah, it generally helps if you've got some shooting, or if you don't need to be in combat desperately,
Don't.
you can get. But it is a big psychological impact. And then so that there was game 2, and the reason why that wasn't also I've got secret mission in game 1. I can't remember what it was, but I got it.
Because these are Matt's secret
Yeah.
missions, not the secret missions in the match play guide.
No, so the match play guide did actually kind of has got a lot of similar ones to what Into the West has done previously. So some of them are similar, but I got that in my first game. In game 2, the reason why it was 9-0 is because I only got one guy off the board.
8-0.
8-0, sorry. I only got one guy off the board, so I
Okay.
didn't get the
You can
jump from 3 to 7.
3 to 5 to 7, yeah.
3 to 5 to 7, because you have to have a minimum 3. But I got my objective, which was to have one guy within 6 inches or more of my guys within 6 inches of his home board edge than Dave did. So even though I won that quite easily, I almost killed him too quickly to get max VPs. But it didn't matter too much, realistically, because the secret mission was more important. Because it's the first tiebreaker and the tournament point. So that's game 2.
How many points for a win?
So you get 5, I think, for a win, 3 for a draw, 1 for a loss.
Okay, so that's different to Ardacon. So Ardacon's 5 for a win, 2 for a draw, none for a loss.
Yeah. So basically, 2 draws are the equivalent of a win and a loss Into the West.
2 draws. Okay.
Which I prefer. I know some people prefer the other way around, but I think for me personally, 2 draws should be the equivalent of a win and a loss.
I was going to say, I think that's a topic we can discuss another time. But how you assign tournament points, or how you
just
organize, how you
Hmm.
organize your own tournament format. Because I know I've not seen mine done anywhere else. And I know Matt's is different, and Ali's yours is completely out of the blue anyway. So continue. Game 3.
So game 3. Was this the game against Josh?
You won 9-0. I found the next bit on Discord.
What was the game after that? Did it say?
No, you just said you won your 4th game.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure this one was against Joshua.
So guys in the chat, tell us what the scenario was, because I know Jack and Matt. Well, Matt, you ran the event. Jack and Jamie, you definitely attended.
So I know who I played. I just can't remember the order towards the end of day. one. But basically, if it was against Joshua Davies, he had 2 armies. So he had Survivors of Lake Town, and he had an Azog's Hunters / Legion list, which was the one that I played. So it had Azog from Azog's Legion on White Warg with armor. So he gets Masters of Battle, leading 10 Gundbads with a mixture of spears or shields, and then I think one guy had spear and shield. And then he had Thimble on Warg with, I'm gonna say, 4 mounted Hunter Orcs with bow, and then 4 Fell Wargs. It was quite a low model army. It was about 18, which you would kind of expect with Azog and White Warg. It was to the death. I had a banner. He made quite an interesting decision early on in that he wasn't moving. And I was like, you do realise I'm 2-0 up, like, no matter what happens at this point. And he's like, yeah, but I'm scared and I'm trying to work out what to do and just buy myself time, which is quite entertaining. He then ended up skirmishing around. And I had an interesting thing, is that my secret mission was I had to pass all in the way tests that I take, not including rider and mount doesn't count as in the way for this. So Elfhelm threw a spear and then just made sure he passes in the way. And then because he was skirmishing and hiding around buildings, I kept on electing not to shoot at certain points, which I think confused him a little bit, because I was like, I don't want to risk not getting the secret mission. And it didn't matter too much. But eventually got to a point where I slightly managed to outmaneuver him, and I could get the charge onto some of his guys, which meant Azog had to commit. And basically, I chucked Elfhelm into Azog, did a heroic defense, held off Azog, and then my army absolutely obliterated his in about 2 turns, and before Azog could even kill Elfhelm, really. And then
That'll do it.
won the game, did the break, had the banner. Get the extra points for 25%. Didn't even bother trying to kill Azog because
Azog.
There's no point.
Azog's Azog.
Yeah.
So that was game 3. And game 4, I played some guy I've never met before in my life called Dave Farmer. So Dave, who I know quite well and play a lot of the time, who I also played his Kirafungal at Preston. And I ended up playing him at Heirlooms, which is a weird scenario, to put it one way, sometimes, and this proved to be one of the occasions. So David had a 38 Mordor Orc Horde, so no Morannons, led by Goroth, Gorbag, and an Orc Captain with Shield, and a Drummer.
So quickly on that, I know CJ, you like kind of that kind of list. And
Is CJ like falling off the screen?
I have no idea. What are your guys' thoughts on that kind of list?
To be honest, I sort of reclined the chair and fell asleep during.
I was half wondering whether you were asleep.
So the Mordor Orc Horde.
Oh yeah.
With was it Goroth?
Orc Horde. I do.
Goroth, Gorbag, Shaman.
Yeah, I quite like. My internet connection's unstable apparently, so I'll talk and hope that some of this goes through.
Yeah, no, you're back. You're back.
Anyway, yes. Yeah, Orc Hordes are quite fond of. Like, I know everybody says, oh, you should just always do Black Numenorians and Morannon Orcs or whatever, but you can get a really stinky horde of Goroth and just all the little Fortitude characters. You get your Kardush and your Goroth and your Zagdush and whatever, and you just hoard the buggery with Mordor Orcs, who can go strength 4 piercing strike if you want to, and you can get a lot of use out of the Mordor army bonus as a result. You can have a catapult if you want and not really worry about collateral damage because, hey, they're orcs.
Yeah, which is essentially what Dave Farmer was going for at the event. 38 models, apart from I think if you face hobbits and like maybe the Wozers list, he was outnumbering everyone.
So there was a guy at Ardacon who had a similar list, because I know Sean played him. He had Goroth, off the top of my head, Goroth, Gorbag, Guritz, a Shaman on Warg, Morannons, and maybe Grishnak, I think. And he had like 40 models at 600 points, and they were just orc chaff. And Goroth as a leader is really good because he just goes, "You come
Give
here,
us wounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
You come here, die instead. You come here, die instead." So like, any reason he didn't take Cardiff? Because he had a drummer and a captain. That seems overkill.
I don't think the Shaman actually made a difference from pretty much any of the games. If
That's
he would have had one.
why. That's why I'd take Cardiff as something.
No, he didn't have a Shaman. I mean, as in, I don't think he
Oh,
needed
okay.
it. Because realistically, with the 3 heroes and the +1 courage for arming bonus, he
Yeah,
was
I
doing
suppose.
alright on courage. And the Shaman bringing, not the Shaman, the Captain bringing March, he opted was more useful.
Even though he had a drum.
And the 2 might. Yeah. So weirdly, actually, the game that we played, it kind of was significant having a captain over a shaman
Okay.
because heirlooms, basically, for those of you who play heirlooms, like you go and try and pick up the ones you don't want it to be at usually. And so what happened? Like I kind of came on this part of the board, like one warband there, one warband there. There's like a building in the middle. Gorbag came on here, and then David's other 2 warbands came on here. So like I'm kind of like shuffling around. He's shuffling around over there, sort of like vying for position. The Orc tracker chests over here and picks up the prize, and then suddenly we're like, oh, okay. I'm just closer to Gorbag, so I kind of get there within like a turn with my mounted stuff. And I'm basically killing his guys and just trying to get to his tracker who's hiding. David then does a heroic march and a drum, which means that he can leg it down to the other end of the board in pretty much 2 turns. So even though he's not engaging me in combat, he's got might to do the heroic move to stop me getting onto the guy with the prize. He wins the first few heroic move roll-offs, which means that it delays me being able to get to the guy on the prize. Although I'm inflicting significant kills on him at this point.
Because did everything have a shield?
Yeah, everything in his army apart from like 2 two-handed weapon guys has a shield,
Okay.
so we can. Oh, and the trackers.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, like I'm basically killing all of stuff. Gorvag annoyingly survived. So he got charged by Elfhelm and another guy, and then he didn't die because I rolled no higher than a 3 on 6 dice with Elfhelm, even though the other guy did 1 wound. And the next turn, Fairdred ends up charging Gorbag and also fails to kill him. Gorbag's now out of might, but it's kind of like annoyingly delayed my ability to clear that warband. I then do going into the second last turn of the game, which I was sat not facing the clock, and I was doing the classic thing of just presuming we were going to keep going forever. I managed to get the prize off the tracker, and I gave it to the mounted royal guard, which on reflection was a mistake because he could get more guys on him next turn, rather than the other guy who was around the corner. Going into the last turn, Farmer was like he needed to win priority, the roll off, and then the combat to kill my guy with the prize, and then he could have snuck it, the game, because even though I would have broken him, not been broken, and Goroth ran away on a double 1 on this courage test, because of the way points for heirlooms work, I wouldn't have like won. I think it would have been a draw instead. I can't remember. As it was, he won priority. He then won the heroic move roll off, but we both rolled. He had an Orc captain on my royal guard, and another guy. He rolled a 5 high. I rolled a 5 high. I won the roll off. My guy survived with the prize, and I won that game. 10-0, I think it ended up being in the end.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was one of those ones where I could have lost it right at the end, but also if you're not on a time limit, which you always are really at tournaments, I think I would have cleared up pretty easily.
Yeah.
But then that's not the game you're playing. So that was the end of my day 1.
Yep.
We then went out for dinner with about 12 of us, which Lee Robbins from Atomic Cards fame organised. I then got dragged out on a huge night out until 5 in the morning by Callum Edens, my next opponent.
Tactical.
So,
Tactical.
Sounds
Yeah.
deliberate.
yeah, well, based on how the game 5 went, I think it went in my favour rather than his. So game 5 played Hammerhand, used by Callum, which was basically the same list as what Neil had taken, but I think he'd mounted one outrider in exchange of not having someone else. Capture and control. Again, my army kind of gets split with a building on one side. So Phaedra's over here, Elfhelm's over here, sort of their respective warbands. Helm goes that way. Phaedra goes that way. Phaedra and friends managed to fluff a heroic combat against one royal guard, which was slightly sad. And Helm kills 2 guys, but my infantry and Elfhelm were killing Callum's army, which started at 4 models lower than mine anyway. Next turn, I don't fluff this heroic combat, kill a bunch of guys. Phaedra jumps on the central objective. I kill more guys over here. Helm wins a heroic combat and kills 3 people, even though I had fight 5 in the combat as well. Jumps on Phaedra. Phaedra kills Helm's horse, which was the main aim. Phaedra dies next turn. But by this point, I was now able to claim and put pressure on nearly all the central objectives, apart from the middle one, which was just contested because Helm was there.
What was it? Command and control.
Yeah, capture and control.
Capture and control.
Yeah, and basically he's just running out of models, and then he didn't have any like his Helm lost combat on foot a couple of times towards the end, which meant that he couldn't even get near breaking me. And yeah, it's just he's running out of models, and eventually the game was going to end, which it did. I think the first turn, if it had ended when it could have, it may have been a draw, but then any other turn after that, I would have won. And I didn't get my secret objective against Farmer, but I did against Callum, which was the partial courage test, which I was slightly concerned about because Phaedra died, even though my army normally passes all courage tests. So that was that game. Second last game was against Jasmine Tetley and her Woses, which was 41 Woses and Garn. Although they were the wild women of Durodan, so they were all female Woses, which she sculpted and wrote background and all that stuff for.
Where were the miniatures from? Were they all over the place?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Were they all over? I remember seeing.
I think all over the place. I think I remember seeing the posts.
I was going to say she did a post about them a little while ago.
Someone was asking.
In all honesty, looking at them, like I'd never even was thinking, they're not the Woses models that she's converted up, to be honest. So,
oh really?
Yeah, it never even crossed my mind. I completely forgot.
Okay,
to
cool.
a certain extent.
Were they? Oh, you said you voted for them for best army.
Yeah, so she got run up for best army.
Nice.
Added to it, it's not just painting; it's kind of the whole sort of package.
Yeah.
And she'd put a lot of effort into writing up sort of background and names for each character and converting and stuff like that.
Did she have that all laid out in front of her?
So you could read the tome of information about them. I think she posted it up somewhere actually a while back on the GD.
I know she was doing. She asked where people would find like barbarian women type models. I remember that much, and I know she was doing it, but I didn't for an event. But I didn't know what event.
Oh, could I hijack just for a second?
No.
Go ahead.
What was Jay Clare using as Braga? Because that thought did cross my mind.
He's had one that he's converted up since the start.
Yeah.
I don't know. I presume it's a base Lake Town Guard with a head swap of something.
I think it's Hammer.
Hammer or Gamling would have been my.
Yeah, one of those whose heads.
Yeah.
With the captain model, I believe.
Was there a captain of Lake Town model?
Is there not?
There was. It's very rare.
I think that was a guard
It sounds
model.
like something that Jay would have chopped up then.
Because I know,
Uh,
there was obviously there was the late-time militia captain, but right to the interwebs.
I've definitely seen a Braga converted like that.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
sure
think
if it
I
was
just
Jay or not.
for a long time assumed there was one, just because like I'd seen Jay use it so often.
Yes, no, I remember that late-time guard captain. Yeah. No.
But,
Yeah, I mean the actor and the portrayal just looks a hell of a lot like Gamling
Yeah,
from Fade, and so I just take that model and go, yeah, there you go.
Matching up.
Jasmine's just joined.
has she actually?
Yeah.
So Jasmine is actually a horrible person to play. Like terrible
Wow.
army.
No, we were
I
discussing.
like how you're singing her praises and then she joins.
I know.
We were discussing your Woes army and wondering where you got your
there you go.
models from.
3D prints the started as a Kickstarter. There's a bit of a delay on the streams now.
No, I didn't read Jamie's.
Yeah.
Nice.
Back.
Awesome.
So yeah, basically I was playing Jasmine round 6, and it was a very weird game. It was also very relaxing for like about 80% of it, because it was retrieval, and the issue is she has 40 odd blowpipes, and then I have like 20 throwing spears, and if either of us wanted to go get the other person's objective, we would die and just be shot to death.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm the only undefeated person in the event. Jasmine also doesn't lose that much from getting a draw herself, so we're both kind of like we're happy with a draw, but there's still stuff going on in that I had Elfhelm kind of running around trying to like
doing Elfhelm things,
find if he can get an opportunity out of prize or get a wound on Garn, which was unlikely because Garn has 1 fate and 3 might, and as soon as I go into throwing blowpipe range, I'm going to like die, or at least that's what you'd think. And then Jasmine had all of her Wozers hiding behind woods trying to find like a weak spot in my sort of thing to like get the odd wound and stuff and that on. The first highly entertaining part of the game, which may be the hangover sort of slightly, or just my own idiocy, is I was like, oh cool, Elfhelm's out of over 13 inches away from your blowpipes, so that's fine. And then Jasmine goes and like moves 3 inches forward and then like goes to shoot. And I was like, oh, but I was 13 inches like, yeah, blowpipes are 12-inch range. It's like, they are. That is true. Oops. And so I get a salvo of blowpipes at Elfhelm, which wounds Elfhelm and the horse, but I save the horse with Horselord. And then sometime later, I then do a heroic combat on a Woes who was hanging around with Elfhelm, which propels him to the other side. And then I just go for it, and I sort of hide behind. I lose my horse. I think I hide behind a tree. Jasmine moves the Wozers up. I throw a throwing spear at Garn, hit Garn, wound. Garn rolls a 2, so it has to use 2 might to save the fate, I think. And then I think Garn had used a might point to take out Elfhelm's horse previously. And then I win the priority next turn, and I charge Garn, and basically with my rerolling spear, I get the wound on Garn to get the 1-0 victory for leader kill. At which point suddenly it's like all the Wozers that were near my camp were like, oh, we just got to go for it, guys. Or girls actually, because of the wild women. And then and then so they move forward. Their first round of shooting did quite a bit more damage, but then I kind of had Fear Druid, and like the guys sort of go forward and just kill. Like basically they don't lose nothing. They kill quite a lot of the Wozers, and then the time runs out, and I get a 1-0 victory from what me and Jasmine had basically mutually agreed was probably going to be a draw up until about 10 minutes before, which is somewhat funny. But
Jasmine, if you chuck the link to the Kickstarter or whoever has the availability of the 3D prints in the comments, then people can go check them out if they want to have a look. Because I've heard lots of good things and heard you were very happy with your runner-up best army, which by the sounds of it is very well deserved. So yeah. So you're and then you. So that was game 6.
Yeah. So I'm now going into game 7.
Yeah.
I was undefeated, the only undefeated, but also the next closest person to me, I think, was David. It may have been Jasmine or Joshua or Callum. I can't remember what order they were actually in.
Someone
it
was
must,
in second.
The people you'd be in.
but I think all of them were on 1 loss and 1 draw. So it wasn't even that
Oh
they.
god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What scenario did they all draw in?
So David drew in retrieval. Callum drew, I think, one of his day 1 games.
Okay.
But basically, it meant that David was the only person who could technically beat me going into the last game because he'd gotten all of his secret missions and I'd missed 1, which would have basically given enough TPs that he could tie me on tournament points, and the secret missions would be the deciding thing. So in the last game, all I needed to do was either get my secret mission or stop David getting his, and I would win the whole event. So the game started. It was domination. We're slightly over 6 inches apart for the most part. I win priority. David sounds the drum, which means that he couldn't countercharge me, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
So I then basically charge in. He then kind of goes to move to surround and trap my guys potentially. I then have a good turn of shooting and kill 6 guys with my throwing spears and my bows. Which is more than I expected, but also some of them were trackers, which are only defense 3, so they do go down pretty quickly. And then in the combats, I kill like another 5. So I've already killed 11 by the end of turn 1.
Matt's just said, if you'd lost your last game and failed to get your mission, the 3 below you could have tied / got higher.
No, it wasn't. It was only David because the others had missed more secret missions.
But even so, it's very close.
Yeah. The handy thing was I had Dave Farmer, who's very good with numbers, work it all out for me. Going.
Also, good evening, Michael Haskell. It was very, very nice to see you at ArtCon. It's been far too long.
So yeah, so basically I'd already pretty much wiped out David's numbers advantage, and he'd used the drum to go and claim some of the objectives. And as the game drags on, I'm basically killing him. He's not getting really anyone there killing me. Some of my Royal Guard are starting to head off towards his objectives. Elfhelm does some cool shenanigans again. So he does a hurt. So he charges, but I choose not to throw a sphere. Because Feardred's trapped at the moment with Goroth and a captain, presumably doing a heroic combat and a heroic strike. But there's a guy in the way to stop Elfhelm doing a heroic combat in there. So I don't use my sphere when I charge the first time. Do the heroic combat, kill the guys that I'm in with, then throw the sphere at the guy who is blocking the path, kill him, which clears the path to get onto Goroth. So that basically means Feardred survives. Elfhelm's then versus Goroth, which isn't bad, and he's also on the central objective because my objective was get one of your heroes killed who's not your general. So I was basically, as the game wore on, I was like, even if somehow I lose this, he has to kill Elfhelm on the objective, really, to win the game. At which point I win the tournament because I then achieve my secret mission.
Nice.
But the damage was done turn 1. He couldn't really recuperate it, and as soon as he broke, his guys on the objective started running away, and then basically I just won that one pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Which meant that I won the event with all my wins, and I think it means that I've won 16 games in a row with Feardred's Guard.
See, this is why they're number 1.
Yeah.
If Ali can win 2 tournaments with them, that'd be good.
Can I check a misconception then? Because I thought somebody had told me somewhere that you're not allowed to use throwing spears in the fight phase because it's not the shoot phase or something.
No, you can't use it if you've already thrown them that turn.
Yeah, you can use the throwing spear once per turn.
So basically, I elected not to in the move, so I could use it off the heroic combat.
Fair enough.
There was an FAQ basically to clarify you could only use it once per turn.
I was going to say not what's per game.
Yeah, somebody
Let's
was
not
trying
get
to
lost
argue to
towers.
me, and I think it was Farmer actually who was saying that because it specifically says about you can use them in the move phase, they are an exception to the shoot phase that ranged weapons normally are, and therefore you're not allowed to use it in the fight phase.
Well,
which sounded convincing at the time, but
I mean, put it this way: if you can't, I was playing David as well, so he's clearly forgotten that or it's changed since then. But I didn't generally like. If that's true, then obviously we would have done stuff would have been a bit different. But it really wouldn't have affected the result because just killing that many orcs early on.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, so there's the 3 tournaments that we've been to. Sorry, it's dragged on a little bit and it's just hearing people speak. But I hope it gives people an idea of what the tournaments are like and kind of what to expect from them in the future. And Into the West and Ardacon are 2 that I would definitely recommend going to. Bless you.
Into the West is good. Yeah.
thank you.
Into the West is very good. For the tournament and for the general social side of it. Ardacon.
I'd probably say Cardiff's the. Not saying this because Matt's in the chat, but Cardiff and Stirling are my 2 favorite tournaments.
Cardiff.
I think they're
Hopefully, I'm going to go to Stirling.
Yeah, I think that they're the tournaments that ran the best with the best venues and the best atmosphere. I think.
Oh, you're going to have an even better venue for Cardiff next year.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Firestorm is moving to was it an ex-Karsh showroom?
I'm looking forward to it.
So it looks all fancy with staircases, like
yeah, it looks
outside
incredible.
And the food should be up in quality. The other advantage is Cardiff is still quite cheap and easy to get to and visit. Like
it's the same with Stirling.
You can fly, you can train, and it's not the same price as like most English cities.
Mm-hmm.
So you can probably put it this way: if Ardacon was in Cardiff, you could probably do it for like half the cost.
Yeah.
In terms of accommodation and travel.
Yeah.
No, Ardacon for the social side of it. For me, it's the team side of it. So yes, Matt, we do accept checks. Thank you very much. I'll be waiting for that in 2 days.
I'll take a free ticket to the next event.
Yeah, you can. Oh yeah, you can just give us all free tickets. Huzzah! But yeah, no. Ardacon for the team event is my favourite thing. So Team Wales was a bit different this year. Ali wasn't there. Dave Clark and Ian Porter weren't there. But we recruited 4 other guys. So we had Tom Turtle and Tommy Griffiths. Yes, Ali.
Just talking about Team Wales and Dave and Ian. Dave won Best Miniature at Into the West, and Ian won Most Sporting.
I was going to say, most
Oh, nice.
And then I won, obviously, overall. So it was a pretty successful weekend for Team Wales.
I was going to say Team Wales, yeah.
It was very successful. So yeah, so we recruited Tom Turtle and Tommy Griffiths, who are from North Wales. And I think by the time that they only play with like their little group, so there's like those 2 and maybe another.
Whereabouts are they?
Like Northwest Wales. Like.
Oh, okay. I was going to say because.
As far as I'm aware.
So if you guys are watching, there's quite a lot of people in Chester.
Yeah,
we're also quite vague with the Wales, considering like I'm in Winchester. I've got the shirt though.
No one will ever know.
Oh, I didn't tell you. I took my shirt to the weekend, so when I played Dave, I got it out.
Excellent. Great. So yeah, Gethin, I will double check with Tom and see how far he is. Because if he could get some games from you guys, but I think they were very northwest.
Yeah, because it may not be me because I'll be moving, but like Calman and Josh are still around. There's a couple of other people in the community that are playing and stuff like that.
Where are you moving to?
Cambridge area.
You said this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but like,
just trying to find somewhere to win.
I mean, if I asked CJ the question, generally across the last year, it would have been back and forth between like where he was moving, like with China and COVID messing him around.
Essentially Wales and Southwest. Then we also had Jay Acharya, who very famous Welshman from Middlesex, and we had Clayton Hodges. They were both recruited by Scott Whitefoot. Clayton has a Welsh wife, so that's fine. So yeah, it's very broad.
To be fair, my qualification for Wales was the fact that my brother runs the Welsh event,
Yeah.
despite being English
So-
and lives in Cardiff. I think that was how my
Yeah.
Jay was studying in Liverpool, and while he was studying in Liverpool, we came to a Chester event, and part of Chester is in Wales.
There we are then. Excellent.
I feel like Ryan Hinch or I think Will Champion, where you've
They
done
were
for
Scottish.
Scotland and for England. You're just
Yeah.
sort of the hired mercenary.
I mean, Josh is just a bit back in chat. Josh and Dale represented Wales. You tell Dale that he's Welsh, he hates you for life. And I don't think any part of Josh is Welsh. So
well, weren't they part of Team Scales at the
Yeah,
ETC because it was a
that's it.
combination of Scotland and Wales?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, that's that. I find that the best bit about Ardicon is being part of a team.
You know, so
the
I
team
went.
thing.
I've been 2 years. 1 year I didn't really go with a team, and then the other year I went with Team Wales. 1 year I generally wasn't that impressed, and that was when I didn't go as a team. The other year when I went as a team, it was genuinely really good fun. So I think if you go as a team.
Yeah.
You get so much more out of it, especially if you personally end up like losing a game or you haven't got much people. You then go around and like you've got like 5, 6, 7, 8 other people that you're invested in how they do, and like the social aspect.
Especially like players like us, I put sort of in a similar bracket, saying you're pushing for the higher echelons and you want to try and do as best as you can, and you want to come away at least 4-2, or at least 3 in a draw, but you've got guys who are there just for some fun. Like Tommy Griffiths won Wooden Spoon and a 3rd place team award. And it was just every game I was like, how'd you go? It was it's a narrow loss. And yeah, it just, but he did the whole weekend. He had a massive smile on his face, and it's like that's what it's all about. And like the fact that you're investing, like you say, you're invested in other people, not necessarily like if you have a bad game, you have a bad game, but you've got people who you won't play, who you can go and have a little bit of a rant to, or just be like, oh, my dice were crap, or this one thing didn't come off, or whatever. But yeah, you kind of go, oh, how did your game go? And you hear about their things. So the funniest thing I heard from that weekend, Jack Whitefoot playing J Clare, game 3 maybe. Bard charges into Lurtz. Lurtz suddenly goes, hi-yah! And Bard's down to 1 wound, no fate. Then the next turn, Bard kills Lurtz or something like that. And then the turn after that, Bard's in combat with someone. Jack's like, I've got this one crossbow guy here. I'm going to shoot at him. Through 2 combats. So he goes, cool, 4+ to hit, whatever. 4+ for the first combat. 5+ gets through the second combat. Oh god. 4+ it hits Bard. It wounds Bard. Jay's like, oh god, Bard's dead. And then they're laughing and joking about it, and Jay kind of goes, give me a second, can we just check the distance? 24.5 inches away on the crossbow. And it was just like, oh, that's so demoralizing. Just because how often do you go, oh yeah, he's within 24? Like when everything's all combating together. And it was just hilarious. So Michael said he played Tom Turtle. Nice. Yeah, he was really lovely. Tom
further towards northwest of Wales.
Yeah.
And I'll be quite open. I've said a lot of negative stuff about Ardcon competitive wise.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go to it competitively. I think it's much better if you are going as a team, as you're saying, like with friends, you're going for the social aspect, you're going to see, because there's people that you're not going to see at other events and things like that. It's like
especially
spending a lot of money on it, so you
try
and enjoy it.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And I know from my experience, it's the team. Yeah, I want to do well, but I want to do well at every tournament I go to. but it's the team
Yeah.
aspect and seeing international people who you haven't seen and people from miles away.
Without sounding weird, it's the main appeal of actually going to the ETC is actually because you get to go to another country with like your team. Like you've got the team benefit, and even though you're supposedly in the most super competitive event, like
It's a holiday, right?
SVG, it's basically just a holiday with your mates where you just play some SVG games. And
Isn't
most of the time, most of those guys are fine anyway to play, even in that environment.
aren't you and Bradley sorting something out that's like that potentially,
So-
or is that just a joke?
No, so basically, ages ago I had an idea of like it would be cool to do like an SVG on tour.
Yeah.
And then like it came up in conversation when we were getting drunk on Saturday, and I was like, because I'm doing the league and everything else, I was like, I don't really have the time to organise it. I was like, Brad, if you want to do it, you can do. What I didn't expect is actually today him to start the ball rolling on it, and like, so it's generally only in the idea phase. But it's like basically go away on holiday, you play some toy soldiers, and you just have
You're
fun.
on holiday. You're at the beach.
Yeah,
Got a bunch of
but,
things to do. Yeah.
yeah,
A bit
so
like JT's events, right? Whereas like it was a
Yeah,
tournament, but it wasn't just a tournament.
yeah, kind of pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's
A
generally
little bit
just
more
where the idea
structured
is.
by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
So, is Team Diva coming back? That's the main question.
I know that Josh and Carmen are definitely trying to get the ball
Did you
rolling
forget
again.
Calman's name?
No.
I can't wait for him to watch this.
Yeah, 'cause we've
I know
got
you're moving to
a-
Cambridge, but come on.
I've already forgotten him. So we've found there's a new club by us that's kind of opened up, which they've been going to, and they've been trying to get people.
Gaming
like-
club, yeah.
Yeah, gaming club. I know because Josh has been in China for 2 years,
Yeah.
so
Was he
he
meant
hasn't
to
been
be
able to
there
play
for that
them.
long?
No, so it is
COVID
extended, I think.
Screwed him.
Yeah, but yeah, so
COVID
he's
got
very
him
eager
in
to
the
play.
opposite direction from me.
Yeah, COVID made him stay. CJ, you and Josh Travoy should have just dressed up as each other and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Just start using Khan and no one will be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. So yeah, no.
BSN.
The only team T-shirt, the new team T-shirts that I saw, obviously the Wanderers had their obligatory new one, but Team Entmoot all had T-shirts, and they were filled with players from all over the place. They were the only other nine-person team, besides Team Wales. So yeah, that was good to see. I know they had people from here, there, and everywhere. Harry was on a recruitment drive by the sound of it, and I think they finished 4th as a team.
So Michael said that. So Michael was in the team. There's also Gaetan from Switzerland, 2 from Italy, and 1 from Ireland. So yes,
Yeah, so the 2 Italian, Tommaso and Eric, were in Team Knots.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know, Nottingham, that classic Italian hub of like the UK.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're saying that there was 2 Italians in Ireland. Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
thought you meant on
yeah.
the team.
So there was.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a team from Ireland, but there was definitely a group of guys from Ireland, Northern Ireland. I can't remember which exactly. I definitely saw a Northern Ireland flag on one of their T-shirts.
Mhm.
But yeah, the only other guys were there was Gaetan from Switzerland, and the 2 Italian guys. But Tommaso had lived in the UK for like 4 years, I think.
He's been in Edinburgh, right?
Yeah, he did, and he's gone back to this season. I think he has a plan of coming back. We were talking about him, talking to him in that doubles game, and then Eric came across. But they had to do like a COVID test before they went, a COVID test when they arrived. They were filling in forms the day after they arrived, like just after our game because they had some spare time, and it was just like fair play for them to them.
I wonder if they had to answer the question. Go, what is the purpose of your visit? Play with small plastic and metal and resin soldiers.
Declare war. I mean, war games.
Nice. So Michael said they've got 2 T-shirts because the manufacturer screwed up they didn't put names on the back.
Harry had a stern phone call.
I did.
I can't imagine Harry being stern.
If you looked at the back of his shirt, everyone just had their name on it, and he took the liberty of putting Captain, so like CAPN on the back of his shirt. Captain Harry. He was just like, oh dear. Yeah, no, I agree with Josh and Jasmine in the chat that Ardacon you go for the team aspect and playing the tournament and having a weekend, like 3 days of gaming.
The event.
You go for the event, not the tournament. Agreed. Yeah. I think the tournament is good enough. It's just a standard tournament. That's just what it is.
It's got some weird mechanics because of the team, which
it's got a few issues, but I won't bring too much negativity to the stream.
I mean, it's good because it means you don't play people in your team, which is a thing. Which especially if you come from the US or Australia.
I think that's a definite good thing. Was talking to some people over the weekend and saying maybe on games 5 and game 6, so on day 2, you that stipulation's taken.
I think game
taken
6
away.
At least.
That stipulation's taken away, but
makes it a more competitive event if you actually do that.
Especially because game 6 is a pretty significant game. And also, you could just go if you're in a table where if you're not in the top 5 tables or 10 or whatever, like, and you're playing someone in your team, it doesn't matter. So you can probably just go and like swap, and no one would object. It's only really when you actually are at the top, then it's there going.
And playing.
Just for example, Team Notch, you get like Jay, Ed, Matt Light, Ryan, Jasmine if she was going, and like all that can't play each other, and you go, they're some of the best players in the UK anyway. It can slide the draw in a weird way.
Yeah.
It does feel like ring fencing, where they basically just said, let's take the top 9-ish players in England, and we're just not going to have to deal with each other. The Wanderers, to a lesser extent, again, they're kind of a strange invitational.
Yeah, so the Wanderers this year only had 4 players.
Just 4 of them.
And they still finished second as a team, which just shows, like Damien lost his first 2 games, then won his next 4 and finished 12th, I think.
I imagine it was worse this year because of the lower number of teams and the lower numbers than it was the previous year, where at least you'd have like the Poland, or I don't know if Poland, but like Australia would send a strong team, US would send a strong team, like France would.
Germany.
So Jasmine's saying the 4 games on day 1 and 2 games on game 2 isn't great. Actually, this year, so the points changed for this year. So it was 600 down from 750, and yes, 2 hours for 600 points is a long time. I think one of my games went to time maybe. And even then, I think it ended naturally. It happened to end naturally, literally as the timer ran out. But once you've played your 6 games, you can just sit and catch up with people, because you don't necessarily get to catch up with everyone, obviously. So then it was, and then we were playing like little card games that Clubby brought, and like you say, you talk to people who you go, oh, I'd switch at the start of the weekend. How's your weekend been? How your games been, etc. So like, I quite enjoyed chilling out and not worrying about it while they were playing their championship game. It gives you a chance to go get food and whatever. And I understand some people.
I despise the championship round. I think it's the worst thing ever. I hate it.
Oh, we don't need the controversy following us here from that post that you did.
You saw it then, yeah.
To be fair, I agree. I'm one of the people that's there going, if some people are playing a game 7, I think everyone should play a game 7.
Because it's like,
it should just be 6 games, is my
it's
opinion.
the issue that Jay was first, and he plays against Tommaso has nothing to lose, whereas Jay has everything to lose. And then imagine being 3rd place. It's like, so Tommaso gets a shot. Why don't I get a shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also even like, because even the year before, you've then got the opposite issue, which is you've got 3 people who are undefeated, and so one of them just misses out, and then the other 2 get to like, have the shootout. Well, that would have been the year before.
Just either play 6 or 7 rounds. Like you can play 6 rounds and still have all that time that you talked about with just like guys, it's just time to chill and you've got a bit of time.
Even if it's just 6 rounds, I'd rather play 3 on the Saturday, 3 on the Sunday, just because.
Yeah, because then you get more time on the Saturday evening. Just like as Jasmine said, Jasmine had to quit game 6, had to wait for 7 hours for the award ceremony.
Yeah,
it's like,
at
that point, you want to talk to people, but that can be pretty frustrating.
Yeah, we literally some people got models out and played a friendly game with a mate. If there was something else set up, like
my other
maybe
thing
you could
is
do
actually
like
move
a little battle companies thing or chaos or.
I'd rather
like
move
that.
Chaos and Arda from a Friday morning to the Sunday
afternoon.
Then you expand the doubles to be all day Friday.
So the thing with chaos is it's getting you to talk to new people. That's.
But you do that in doubles anyway.
Yeah, no, but it gets you talking to more.
You get it's the 3 people on the table with chaos.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're doing like an extra 2 doubles games instead of chaos, you're talking to an extra like.
It would only be an extra one.
Anyway.
It would be an extra 1 game.
Yeah.
So to be honest, like all the games started at 10, so it was like 10, 1. So game starts at like 10, 1 o'clock, 3:30, 6 o'clock. So
6 is quite late start, isn't it?
But it's not.
But I mean, but in terms of like,
it didn't feel like it at all.
What time did you finish? So
people are going to want to be eating at that point.
Yeah, that's me thinking like party food.
So, so they put on like a buffet in the bar. So there was like where you go for breakfast in the Mercure. They had like a fast food bar kind of thing. So there was like burgers and pizza and chips and stuff. So you could get like a burger. I had like a cheeseburger and chips both days, and it was like £7, which isn't bad when it's literally just there. And McDonald's is going to cost you the same. It saves you
work this year because I saw something about you had to buy the wristband for £10.
You bought a wristband for £10 and you got 20% off everything, food and drink.
But wasn't that included the year before?
I
think it was. Yeah.
When I went,
I think if you stayed at the hotel, it was. But you.
Well, I remember I got a wristband and got a discount the year before, and I didn't stay at the hotel.
Okay, well maybe you sneaked one then. I've no idea. So
I'm pretty sure I wasn't intentionally being cheeky if I was.
No, I think I agree with Mike Hansford, but the Friday and Saturday work really well as they are. I don't think that needs to change at all. And the Sunday I actually really enjoyed sitting down and we played Coup. It's a card game, and then we played Love Letter and we played Avalon, which is another one. The Clubly just bought some simple sit down games and you just got chatting, and it was quite funny and it was good just to sit down and play something that wasn't necessarily SPG, but you still chit chat about it. And the only thing, they didn't stream all the stuff because the people who normally stream are people from abroad. So
when I haven't gone, I've tried following the stream, and it's like actually, Josh says like I've seen some really really good streams that other like places for AOS and 40k have done, and like even the Warhammer World GT, and if they could get that for Ardacon, it would make the championship round feel better. At least. Oh, that was the most annoying thing actually this year for someone who wasn't there. The fact that the results weren't being posted up live. So like we had no idea what was going on until like 11 o'clock in the evening on the Saturday, what the standings were. And there was lots of people, I know myself included, who were interested to know. Like I couldn't go, but I would like to be able to just check in on Tawny. But I don't know why James for some reason didn't want to post them up because he doesn't want people to know where they are in the standings.
People can figure out how they are.
And I'm just saying, like, it kind of ruined a bit of the experience as someone not there in a weird way.
And because you're someone who wasn't there who's from the UK. Imagine if you were watching your mate who, like, say you're Italian, and you're watching your mate who was over there. But
well, Leon Coey, like, he's
he's German, and he's on
like
Discord,
because he was asking and all that stuff, and it's kind of like
he's on Discord.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I also remember when I was trying to look on Tony and I couldn't find it anywhere. Like I tried going on, I searched
I know.
Icon and stuff.
It
It just wouldn't let me
generally,
access it.
I remember Andrew saying James would ask for it to be hidden because he didn't want people at the event to see their TPs and stuff like that. Which I mean,
I don't agree with that at
For
all.
Otacon, that doesn't matter at all.
You can just work out. There's enough people that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And going back to the championship round, I think the reason for the championship round is because he is expecting 200 plus people.
Oh yeah, no, that was what my flip side though was, is that actually because it's almost gotten so much bigger now than when he first introduced it.
Yeah.
Normally anyway, like you still have one person missing out.
I still think the 7th round's better.
Yeah.
So is there going like the 7th round actually be more likely to get you a true result?
Yeah.
And you can still stream the top table.
Yeah.
You could just put a table up on the balcony.
So I think the plan for next year.
Do you need to bounce, CJ?
I do, because I'm currently living in somebody else's house, so I need to be quiet now.
Not a problem.
So am I. It's just my parents.
Thanks for having me.
No
It's
worries.
been good chatting you, CJ. Hope you're feeling better soon.
Yeah. So if
that just messed up your screen. Oh damn. I mean, that's part of it, right? Like I remember, like pretty much every event, you always get the top players. Like, so if the people that are playing, if this person wins,
actually take into the West, for example, like me and Dave Palmer worked out before going into that game, like if I could lose or not, pretty much. Like all it takes is to go, I've got this many points, you've got that many points.
It's nice that
it makes it more interesting. Gives you something to talk about as well, what you're waiting in between games and things.
It's like you know going into that game you have to get. Well, David knows he has to get that result, whereas if he didn't know anything and just went into the game, he might not be trying as hard to deny you the secret objective or to get the secret objective or something like that.
Yeah. I should be back now, Josh. My 3-stream layout didn't have my personal audio input capture, but that should be fine now. I've just added it. So,
but yeah, Jasmine just said that she watched Game 6 from the GT, and it was excellent. I'm going to assume it's the Game 6 I played in if it's excellent. No, but yeah, when you get watching a live stream with commentary, it's so much. Like it makes the difference because
you obviously have to set it up, which is the one thing. It's because you need to have like this is why I think the balcony would be best for it. Have a board up on the balcony. The people casting it. Once again, you need casters who aren't playing the other end of the balcony, so you can't hear across, but you're close enough to be able to send like a ref, like one or two.
Yeah, like genuinely,
and you don't get people crowding around.
I'd be interested to do commentary, but I also quite like playing, so it's like that.
Oh yeah, I think James has got enough people though who like him and Sam Page could do commentary while it goes on, or like because he's normally got 2 or 3 TO helpers.
Yeah. I think you could definitely get some.
You only really
volunteers.
need one there for the game. You can have just the other 2 doing commentary, or one doing commentary with him.
I mean, if you say you're looking for volunteers, they don't have to pay for a ticket, and you get some kind of discount on the accommodation, which should be a thing. We won't go into that topic, but if you like compensated the casters,
it's not even that. Like, say I didn't qualify for the final and I was hanging around, I wouldn't mind just chatting. I mean, come on here and chat crap anyway. Just slag off like whoever's on the top table. And go, this cheesy.
What is Clubley doing? Clubley.
I said top table. He would have choked before he could get into the championship round.
So
he might get there and then choke.
Yeah,
he's the person in first and then loses and
somehow finishes out of the top 2.
So the whole thing about the balcony is I think next year James is planning to have the top 5-10 tables up there, so people don't go over and crowd the space, etc. And you'll only be allowed up there if you're playing. But Michael, just going back to something Michael's put, saying the objectives at the start, like the secret missions, actually took a bit of time, and kind of, but once you got into the swing of doing it, they weren't that bad. You literally picked 3 and got your opponent to roll a d3, and then it obviously just picked which one. but we were saying that in tourney you could be, well, it would be handy if you could pick 3 oaths in tourney and then it randomly selects one for you. That's one way of doing it. The other way is, and also with tourney, it was the fact that you couldn't see your opponent's oaths when you were putting in a score. So that kind of thing, like little things, and I'm going to talk to Andrew about that and about a little thing that he's trying to organise as well. So there's loads of things. So if people have got comments on tourney, etc., send them over to, put them in Discord, put them in our Discord below, or chuck them in the comments now, and I'll try and collate feedback.
Yeah, Andrew's in the Discord anyway as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So if you,
he's semi-active.
yeah, he is pretty active on our Discord, to be fair.
More active than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just disappointing.
So, but Michael Haskell is definitely true. The J Tommaso spectacle, it wasn't really a spectacle. So
Also, like, once again, going off Ali's point, I had no idea who was in the final.
when you're not there,
We had no idea that
as-
Jay and Tommaso were playing until the game was over.
yeah, as the biggest event in the world for SPG, you would have
This year it isn't.
this year it isn't, granted, but yeah, you should be able to know who's in the final, who's playing what, some commentary, and like you say, like games were streamed 2 years ago, and that was because Andreas was doing them. Obviously, him being Norwegian, it throws a
Surely
spanner
get
in the
Steve
works.
Crow involved, right?
Well, I don't know how.
Should we not go on into that?
Well,
then?
no, I think it's more like Steve uses a studio normally.
Yeah,
I don't know how
Steve's-
easy it is to
But you
set
can
up.
set up cameras. I mean, I could set up a stream
and then-
easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
it all
stream,
depends on.
like, loads on Twitch.
Yeah, but it depends on the Wi-Fi of the hotel and all that kind of stuff. Because I remember the one year they put it on the big screen, it was pixelated like you wouldn't believe.
That's because they
Oh,
used an
yeah, that's-
iPad.
Yeah.
Did they?
That was
Yeah,
they used an
that was it.
iPad. That was awful.
That's what they've been
Okay.
using to film it most years that they've done it.
The webcam I've got would be significantly better.
What webcam have you got?
Logitech, 1080p.
I've got one of
Yeah.
them, but not that I'm using it tonight. 'cause
Yeah.
it's just-
Yeah,
I was going to say
they're
I've
not
got
too
like
expensive.
I've got a
It's like one
a-
person's
a
ticket.
cheaper webcam here and a webcam. It's like a Logitech C922, something like that.
Here's an interesting thing I was thinking. You know, the issue of you have them 3 people who are like on potentially more who win all their games when there's 220 people.
Yeah,
What about if you had first and second and third and fourth
All
have
on the
like
same-
playoffs for third place and for first and second, and that way if you have you can have 2 tables going. So if one game ends up being boring, which unfortunately has happened like a couple of years,
yeah.
whereas like the Kylie versus Jay one, where Kylie basically crapped the bed, from what I understand.
From listening to Harry's podcast, she didn't even realise it was a championship round, and so was essentially thrown in with like 5 minutes notice, and she was like, "Oh dear God," and just panicked
Yeah,
and made an error, and her hero died.
Yeah.
And then Eden's versus Damien wasn't that interesting from memory. It took them like 45 minutes to deploy and do turn 1. And
I
then
think the only
this-
time it was interesting was Dave Reed versus
The
Tom Harrison.
first year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no,
Did it?
second year.
Yeah, that'd be second year.
And then
Yeah.
and then this year was Jay's Army of Lake Town. So Master Braga, Alfred Bard girls, and like 57 models, and Tommaso had Legolas with
Elves and then just
some elves, and then he had
captains.
3 Lake Town guard captains,
Militia.
and
Wasn't it?
pretty sure they were guard models. It could have been militia, to be honest.
He had
Um,
militia as troops.
Just want to ask Josh, is that Honest Wargamer that you're referring to? Yeah, I'll get delayed response.
Yeah. Because I did think
I
about
think
doing
he's talking about that.
doing some live stuff like this year, but it was just getting back into the swing of things, and like I say, I'd lose out on my social time, so it's a bit to and fro. But I am looking to do more YouTube videos, like standalone ones, and not just streams. So that's something.
Remember what was it? Damien? No, James Long, the roving reporter.
Yeah.
That was great. We need to get James back.
Doing that stuff is
on these
actually
things.
quite fun and quite good, but it requires a lot of people willing to go to these things and not play.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the issue. That's the issue.
So GBHL need to get fundraising and stop paying some people, Ali. I think. Yeah.
Well, sorry, I was reading the chat. What were you directing my way?
I was saying that the GBHL needs to do some fundraising to get some funds for some reporters and
Well, we are doing,
casters.
in theory, like some events potentially next year, so we have more money to do more useful things.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, that's if I'm still in charge next year. There'll be elections in October, November time, so I could get voted out of office because everyone hates me.
Nah, you do it.
No, saying that, I've managed to get myself in a very good position to win the league. So the 2 wins means that I've already got a better score than Will did back in 2019 when he won the league in the last season.
Nice.
After 5 events. And if anyone's going to jump me, they have to win 300 pointers, apart from Jasmine, who only has to win 2, assuming I don't go into any more events and get any more podiums.
Oh.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, like I think stuff like that can be done, and I think it's starting to get there, and people are starting to do it. But like you say, it depends on. So you've got to have a TO, you've got to have someone someone who knows what they're doing with the tech, and people, and 1 or 2 people commentating. So it's And
honestly, the one which I've always considered most likely it happening at is the Masters that we run, the GBHL Masters.
Yeah. Or Steve Crow's event.
Yeah.
That's the only other one I can see it. Really
Hasn't he done? He's done that. I'm pretty sure because I remember it was a doubles event, and Calm and Dale was setting up the table, and then Steve was like, "Nah, you're down here," and they had to go down to like the studio or something.
Yeah.
Do they do a commentary and everything?
I believe the players were doing a live commentary. I don't think they had a caster, but yeah.
Because I think because of the Masters, like our one is limited to 16 people.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to have all the top players will qualify necessarily.
Yeah.
You then actually have like situations where you're more likely to be able to control it, so you can quite easily have a game streamed and have people around to commentate.
Yeah.
It's also only one day often because it's 4 rounds.
Yeah. You would have thought, Josh. You would have thought. But yeah, no, like I say, I think it could definitely happen, and stuff like that would be amazing. But we're not as big a community as 40k or AOS, and the only people who are full-time YouTubers, streamers who do mid-level stuff is Lockie.
Yeah, so we'll go to Australia for our next event. Yeah. So Lockie can do commentary. He does do a stream, but I've never actually seen what they look like.
What, the battle streams?
As in, I know he has streamed one of the events over there before.
Okay, I didn't know.
But I didn't, because it's 12 hours ahead or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What's it called? I was trying to attempt to, when I did the league finale in Chester.
Yeah.
I was trying to stream, but I couldn't convince the venue to give me the Wi-Fi. I was like,
oh really?
I literally asked them just like, what is the internet speed? They gave me it. I was like, would I be able to do it to live stream or something like that? No.
I know Firestorm have done live streams before, and we'd kind of just had like the basic camera set up.
Yeah.
Firestorm have the setup already in the building.
Yeah. So I wonder actually.
Matt
actually mentioned before that
he was planning to do it for Into the West with commentators.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to give me a free ticket for next event, I'll happy to come down and cast.
If you don't want to give you a free ticket.
Yeah, because we were endorsing his events. We were saying it was the best.
Yeah. So you can go down and commentate and then like explain to everyone who don't know the rules.
Yeah.
In my experience from the GT one, because you normally have Nick Bate and Adam Troke, who play just casually most of the time.
Both amazing people.
They're fun, but it's just like, there you go, when you watch back the commentary sometimes, it's basically them saying what's happening and what they think, and then Mick Large is the most common one, who's like on the chat going, no, the rule actually works like this. And they're like, cool.
So I'll do it and Mick Large can stand next to me. I'll just spout whatever, talk about Helmingus, and
Mick would actually be someone who'd be up for doing a commentary and like all that.
Nick and Rob Alderman did mine and Josh's when we played at the GT. And that was a really good game, and I've watched that back 2 or 3 times. I know Josh has watched it.
Is
back
it
as
really
well.
sad watching yourself play? Because I've done it as well.
I was interested to hear what the commentators would say.
Yeah, no,
gonna
that was
say,
my
the
main thing. I
commentary
just want to
stuff.
know and what they thought, and genuinely, like, they had no idea what I was doing. And the both times I've been on the stream, they're just like, oh yeah,
That'd be the best thing, just trying to work out what's some, like, if it's top table, just like, what are they doing here?
Yeah.
yeah.
There you are, Geffen. You're not playing it into the West. You're casting what looks things.
Who wants a weekend of Helmingers talk?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take them at the weekend. And then next, I'll swap Elfhelm out for Grimbold, and I can take Helmingus.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's something that would be really cool. But yeah, like you say, and like I know Big's moving venue, but whether they'll have the internet capability to stream.
Who's moving?
Bristol Independent Gaming.
Oh, Bristol. Okay.
They're moving like 10 minutes down the road to like a better venue.
It's basically not a warehouse.
Yeah, basically not. It's essentially like a first floor of an office building. But whether they'll have Wi-Fi, whether the Wi-Fi will be strong enough. Have you just seen Jamie's?
Yeah.
But then you'd have.
I was thinking, are we going to have those entries as well? Like
Yeah.
I mean, we have to now.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't have.
Just get like Ryan Hinch against World Champion. Like Ryan walks in and Will's just like.
In the red corner, Geffen, the Helmingas, what kids.
But yeah, whether like I don't have a laptop that's new enough to run webcam and stream stuff. So yeah, it all comes down to having the kit at the end of the day, which is another thing.
You need multiple cameras, really.
Yeah, Michael, by the way, I don't like the sound of my own voice, which is why I go on these things, so I don't have to listen back to them later.
Trust me, you get used to listening to your own voice.
I was going to say, I'm used to my own voice now.
Yeah.
I still don't like it, but the good thing about when you're playing on the stream rather than sort of watching it is you can watch it back and you don't hear yourself talk.
Yeah. I was going to say, the only issue with having the WWE style where one's entertaining is the commentators are supposed to be like quiet away from the table.
But actually, they did that for the GT. They completely. So they've got it set up so the commentators are now quite far away from just the screens. So they can't. But then the other flip side is they then have someone at the table to like. To communicate information. Yeah. So when you're at the table, I don't know if you had this do it. It's like you have to. The difficult part as a player is you have to remember to give them updates as you're going along.
Yeah. Well, me and Josh obviously clearly explained what you're doing with each model and each turn, etc. And then the guy who was typing, to be honest, was really handy. And he
is that Dave Whittaker?
Honestly, can't remember. There's a guy called Raphael who I think was the tech guy, and then I think I think there was just someone else. I can't remember the name at all. But he every now and then he'd be like, "Oh, I missed that. Can you just tell me what happened?" Because it was obviously something that was quite big.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's the issue.
You can track him out with a fate though.
Yeah, as long as they keep it accurate, which I don't think they did for my game against. I can't remember if it was either against Jay or the year before when I played Dave Nolan, and I watched it back going like, they haven't updated the kill count for about 2 turns.
Yeah, it must be a lot to keep.
I think it's also more difficult for them at the GT because a lot of them aren't used to doing it for SVG, which is different.
Yeah,
they're like 40k and AOS because
in many ways it's easier to track in SVG.
Yeah.
Like
in AOS, it's they're going. You're just removing like squads normally, whereas because there's individual modules disappearing all across the board, and like it's
you
just
can also
to keep track of.
Like especially 40k, you could do more of the WWE stuff of like just talking about explosions and these units are just going crazy, whereas SPG is like it's gonna stab him.
Yeah,
it's gonna stab him. It's gonna stab him because there's so many
bash him.
Bash him. Bash him. No, Josh, I do remember that disgraceful final combat, and it was ridiculous, and I still tell people about it today. Essentially, he early in the game he sorceress blasted my banner into my hood king, killing my banner and dismounting my king, and then at the end of the game he was like, "Oh, Gandalf's just going to charge your king." I was like, "Cool, go for it." strength 5, defense 6, needing 5s to wound. With 6 dice, he caused 5 wounds. I was like, that is disgusting. I will take him off the board now.
So it sounds like a strong tactical decision, to be honest.
Yeah.
Good tactics by Josh.
Yeah, and my good tactics was having 2 out of 4 guys pass courage test on courage 2 to win the move off the table in recon 2-1, which gave me like I think it was like a 5-3 win in the end. But yeah, no, I think tournaments and stuff like that is like doing the
Starting to
streams and
ramp up.
stuff would be good, and tournaments are starting to ramp up, which is amazing. Which is
Yeah,
really,
we got
really
like
good.
from mid-September. There's pretty much a GVHL 100 every fortnight until December at the league finale, and then in between then you've still got like the same amount of tournaments again as 80 pointers just all over the place. So,
Now there's an idea. If someone was Cotton from Dodgeball as a as a bold strategy gun, let's see if it plays up. Oh dear, no. I think that's really cool. So yeah, like you say, it's getting people with the equipment, with the time, who are happy not playing. It's difficult, but possible, just difficult.
I got equipment.
show off.
There you
Don't
are.
tell the ladies.
There you are, Geffen. Have you got a laptop you'd run it on then?
Yeah, I used to back when me and Josh did the Hobbits of Cheshire stuff for a few episodes.
So
I
you've
did it on
literally stitched yourself up on a live stream now to commit to doing this for Into the West. You can do
I mean, I'd be
Dewey's
happy.
event.
I was going
I'd
to
be
say,
happy to do
my
it.
event.
I was going to say,
like,
if Big have the capability, Geffen, you're coming down.
I mean, I'd be happy to do it since like I much prefer the old edition playing wise, so I'd be happy to commentate and stuff.
And
how can you say that? You barely played this edition.
Exactly, yeah.
They'll make us actually win events now.
Yeah, but you can't take them with Thranduil and they just wrath everybody and make the Polish players think your list is fake and
No, my list was the one that they thought was fake because
No, they printed your list off. They didn't bring mine.
Did they not? Did they just think all of our lists were fake then? Because I remember like when we played them, they're like, "Oh, we didn't expect you to have that one."
Yeah, that was by my list because everyone was talking about how you were an Eagle player, so they thought yours was legit Eagle list.
Yeah.
And they saw Helmingas. I'm like, nah, that's the fake list. That's not printed.
I thought it was because they saw mine and saw I had to do a Lake on foot and like Black Numenors and half trolls. That they were just like, that's clearly just some random tosh that they've just thrown together.
We did take some interesting lists.
Yeah, it's because we're interesting people.
Who was the fourth in our team?
Farmer.
Yeah.
What did Farmer take? Hobbits?
No.
I honestly can't remember.
He had... What did he have?
Is he good? Because you were half trolls. Dewi was Angmar, right?
No, I was Mordor.
Mordor.
No, I was Undying, Witch King, both on Felbeast.
Then I was Hemming Gazelle, so he had to be good, right?
Taskmaster.
No, you don't have to be 2 and 2.
No.
No.
What did he take?
You couldn't take the same characters.
Yeah.
Maybe he did take Hobbit elves, but
I think he did.
That rings a bell.
He would have either been Hobbit elves or he would have been Mordor because they're kind of like.
Well, he's
Pretty sure it was Hobbit elves because Dewi went Mordor.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's
Hobbit
why I'm
elves.
guessing it was Hobbit elves.
Honestly, can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that wraps us up quite nicely, chatting about tournaments and formats and all that kind of stuff.
And how Geffen's going to be busy next year.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us. We will be live again next week with some topic of some sort. If you've got topics for us, let us know in the comments. Other than that, we will see you next week, all being well, and all internets being good and proper. So yeah,